Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Dragon Ball Saiyan knows martial arts. Chapter 51. Kumu has a very ferocious appearance. He has always regarded the Kurds as life and death enemies and wanted to kill the Kurds with his own hands. But now he is told that Kurd is dead. How can he accept this? Facing Dong Wu, the person who killed the Kurd, he felt as if his beloved thing had been robbed, and he wanted to kill Dong Wu immediately. Boom! Kumu's aura completely exploded, and the powerful aura made the air stagnant, and the whole planet seemed to be in the end of the world with lightning and thunder. Do you know how much hardship I have endured in order to kill the Kurds for hundreds of years? I am about to succeed, and how dare you steal my prey? Kumu's face was ferocious. The more he thought about it, the more he thought about it. Angrier. Not to mention the pervert Kumu. Even a normal person who has worked hard for a goal for hundreds of years, but is told that the goal has been robbed when he is about to succeed, will be very angry and want to kill someone. I am going to kill you. Kumu roared angrily and rushed towards Dong Wu with immense hatred and powerful strength. I'm here today to deal with you. Dong Wu instantly transformed into a secret. His golden red hair, surrounded by gold inside and green outside, made Dong Wu look extremely majestic. I don't have time to waste time with you Moji, just die. Dong Wu's explosion of more than 40 billion combat power was beyond what Kumu could resist, and he was ready to kill his opponent in one move. Dong Wu is not Son Goku. If it were Son Goku, it would really be possible to fight Kumu for hundreds of rounds and then defeat him. After all, he really likes fighting and enjoys fighting. You can have a 50-50 split with anyone. To be honest, Kumu's combat power is still very strong, at least during this period it has few opponents. The combat strength of 800 million is much stronger than that of the Kurds, who only have 450 million. It's a pity that there is no difference in Dong Wu's eyes, whether it is 800 million or 400 to 500 million. Die. Dong Wu didn't bother to fight with him, and shot a penetrating light-killing cannon directly through Kumu's chest. Bo! Kumu had no room to resist, and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. But something surprising happened to Dong Wu. The wound of Kumu who was shot through was actually squirming and healing. Although it can't beat Majin Buu's healing speed, it is still a little stronger than Namek. Oh, has the body been transformed to this extent? It's no slower than Cell's recovery speed. Dong Wu was surprised. He didn't expect Kumu, the transformed frozen demon, to have transformed himself to such an extent. And it seems that not only the body has been modified, but also part of the gene has been modified. How dare you hurt my noble body, I want you to die. Ah! Kumu became even more angry. His green skin began to wither and turn yellow, and his body began to grow in size. The change is similar to when Frieza finally transformed and exerted 100% combat power. 100% combat power has not been used for hundreds of years. In order to thank you for letting me regain the feeling of full strength, I will kill you with the power that makes you afraid and turn you into my material. Kumu has become mentally abnormal, but the arrogant, self-righteous, and self-absorbed character of the frozen demon has not changed. Although his energy has indeed increased, unfortunately it is only 1.5 billion. Is 1.5 billion less? A lot, definitely a lot. With this kind of strength, it would be easy to kill Kurd and the Frieza brothers instantly in the Northern Galaxy. Maybe Kumu didn't have much confidence in the battle hundreds of years ago, so he didn't fight back to the Northern Galaxy. Otherwise, the Kurdish family would have died long ago. But compared to Dong Wu's combat power of 46 billion, 1.5 billion is not impressive and inconspicuous. Not even a small change. Don't talk about 100% combat effectiveness, even if it is 1000% combat effectiveness, you will die. I'm too lazy to play with you, just die. Dong Wu didn't have time to waste. He wanted to eliminate the villains in East Galaxy and South Galaxy as soon as possible. Go see Broly as soon as possible. Broly, as a legendary Saiyan who came out once in 1,000 years, has unparalleled strength and potential. Even Son Goku and Vegeta are far behind him. Of course, this is only an early advantage. Reaching advanced levels still depends on your own understanding. Smashing light-killing cannon. Dong Wu, who knew that Kumu had tenacious vitality and abnormal recovery ability, was too lazy to waste time using the penetrating light-kill cannon. Although this can kill Kumu, Dong Wu doesn't want to waste this time. I'm not afraid of this kind of thing. Watch me push it back for you. Yeah. Kume opened his hands to catch ki blast, but he didn't know the gap between the two. He dared to hit the opponent's ki blast with a gap of dozens of times. I have to say that he is very talented. There was no sound, not even a scream, and it just disappeared into ashes. Lord East Kaio, Kumu has been solved. Dongwu sent a message to East Kaio. Thank you Dongwu, I am here to thank you for your help on behalf of all the creatures in the East Galaxy. I, the King of East Kai, said politely. Although Dongwu was very polite, he respectfully called her Lord Kaio. But she knew that the other party was extremely powerful, so calling her, Sir, was out of politeness and respect for older people. Of course, she can't rely on her old age to be arrogant and arrogant. Kaio-sama, you don't have to be polite, but what should I do with this planet? There are some people on it who were captured for experiments, and there are also a lot of perverted experiment data. Do you want to destroy it? Dongwu means to rescue people and then destroy the entire laboratory. However, he also wanted to hear what the East Kaio meant. After all, after paying attention to Kumu for so many years, I might be able to discover my omissions. Alas, Dongwu, please destroy the entire planet. I have just sent a message to those who were captured. They know that Kumu is dead and do not want to live anymore. They just asked me to free them. As for this evil planet, let it be destroyed into ashes. The king of the East Kai said sadly. Dongwu was silent, he could understand those people's choices. I have endured so much torture that my heart has already collapsed. Death is the best relief for them. As for the current Kumu planet, there were perverted scientists hundreds of years ago. It is estimated that the entire planet's technology is also dark, so it might as well be dealt with. Okay, then I will destroy this planet. Dongwu nodded and agreed, putting the spaceship into the universal capsule. Fly outside the planet, and then throw an energy bomb. The Kumu star suddenly shone like a firework, dazzling for a moment and then turned into dust. Alas, Dongwu sighed and shook his head, no longer thinking about this. Next, there is the flame bird in the southern galaxy. After getting rid of him, go and see Brawly. Flame bird, the supervillain of the southern galaxy, has a combat power of almost 50 million, and is the weakest among the 4 major galaxy villains. Even so, he has a very disgusting ability, his body turns into flames. No wonder it's called the flame bird. Flame is a very special thing that is between matter and energy, nihilistic and real. When attacked, it can transform itself into fire, thereby becoming immune to damage. To be honest, despite Yang's low combat effectiveness, he was the most difficult opponent among Dongwu's opponents. Dongwu also spent a lot of effort to defeat him. In the gratitude of the southern Kaiwang, Dongwu moved to the western galaxy to meet the person he most wanted to see and the one he was most curious about, Brawly. I think not only Dongwu, but probably all Dragon Ball fans will ignore the existence of Brawly. This is an enigmatic warrior with some unique charm. A born Super Saiyan, a legendary warrior. Strength will automatically increase without the need to practice, and the more you fight, the braver you will become. If you can't kill quickly, your opponent will definitely die in the end. As for the Super Saiyan transformation, the strength increases 100 times, which is twice as high as the normal Super Saiyan. And it's 100% transformable. Is this such a warrior who appears several times in the theatrical version and tortures the protagonist and a group of Earth warriors to pieces, but in the end he is defeated? It can only explain 2 points. First, he is not the protagonist, and second, the protagonist's aura is too powerful. Dongwu met this mysterious man for the first time in Shein. Brawly is tall, but not strong, and even looks a little thin. The skin looks a little dark and the expression is a little dull. There is really no way to associate him with a violent and chaotic warrior. But after watching the theatrical version of Brawly, Dongwu knew that this was just an appearance. Brawly is controlled by his father Paragus, who attempts to use Brawly's power to rule the universe. Once Brawly is free of control, release himself completely. This fearsome warrior will display terrible destructive power. Hello Brawly, I am Saiyan warrior Dongwu. Dongwu said to Brawly. Looking at Brawly in front of him, Dongwu didn't know whether to hate him or pity him. Since birth, he was murdered by King Vegeta because of his strong fighting ability. When he grew up, he was controlled by his greedy father. Such a warrior who should have shocked the universe has been reduced to wandering around with no fixed abode. Saiyan, Saiyan. Brawly was confused and kept repeating Dongwu's words. But soon he seemed to think of something. His expression suddenly became very painful, his face became ferocious, and his spirit was out of control. Kakarot, Kakarot, Brawly shouted in pain and anger, and the energy in his body was instantly raised. The powerful momentum shattered everything around him instantly. Dongwu is a little confused. Why does Brawly have such a big grudge against Kakarot? Was it because Kakarot's crying woke him up when he was a child? Logically speaking, shouldn't he hate King Vegeta more? After all, King Vegeta once wanted to kill him, but Kakarot only woke him up by crying. Why does he hate Kakarot so much instead of King Vegeta? Who are you and what have you done? At this moment, Paragus came over nervously and quickly used the controller to calm Brawly down. Dongwu looked at Paragus. He had a strong body, a Chinese-shaped face, dark skin, and was blind in one eye. This is Brawly's father, Paragus. In his hand was the controller that controlled Brawly. You are Paragus, Brawly's father. It can be said that Dongwu has no good impression of this person. He is not greedy and vengeful, and he has no backbone. He wants to seek revenge from King Vegeta but doesn't dare. He wants to rule the universe but doesn't work hard on his own. He just blindly places all his hopes on Brawly. Yes, I am Paragus, Brawly's father. Paragus said very proudly. However, what he is proud of is not his own identity, but his identity as Brawly's father. Even when he introduces himself, he emphasizes that he is Brawly's father. It can be seen that this person has extremely no self-confidence. Very well, for people like you, it would be better to live than die. Dongwu has decided to kill Paragus. All the destruction caused by Brawly in the Western Galaxy can be said to be caused by Paragus. This person is ambitious, and although he has little strength, he always has unrealistic illusions. However, Paragus doesn't think so. I was immediately angered by Dongwu. What did you say? How dare you talk to me like this? Paragus looked at Dongwu gloomily, then pointed at Brawly and said, kill him. He originally thought Dongwu was a Saiyan and wanted to conquer Dongwu and rebuild a new planet Vegeta. But Dongwu's words angered him, and he decided to kill Dongwu directly. He himself was incompetent, but he had a son who was capable. However, his attitude towards his son is not like a father and son, but like a master and a slave. Treat Brawly like a servant. Humph, you are really seeking death. Dongwu's face flashed with anger. But before Dongwu could make a move, Paragus became impatient because of Brawly's slight hesitation. Brawly, did you hear that? Kill him quickly. Brawly hesitated for a moment, and Dongwu smiled disdainfully. Paragus, I want to kill you, and no one can stop me. You'd better die. Dongwu pointed his finger, and an air sword shot out from his fingertips, directly piercing Paragus's forehead. He couldn't even resist or dodge, so he just twitched a few times and died immediately. Only then did Dongwu look up at Brawly. At this time, he was already confused and sluggish. The powerful aura began to rise, and the hair began to rise slowly. His hair was constantly flashing between black and grass green, his body shape was expanding rapidly, and his mood was becoming extremely unstable. Brawly's Super Saiyan is about to transform. I'd like to see what's different about this legendary warrior. Dongwu raised the corners of his mouth with a curious expression. Brawly is not a character who appears in the original work, but appears in the theatrical version. Neither the official nor the author recognize this character. But whether he admits it or not, there is no denying the super popularity brought about by his unique charm. But now is the real world, and in this real world, Brawly exists. So, should such a super soldier be destroyed or redeemed? Words of destruction are such a shame, but words of redemption. To be honest, Dongwu was not sure. After all, a legendary warrior like Saiyan in this kind of Dragon Ball Super is never clear-headed. Kyr in Dragon Ball Super is not counted. It depends on human factors. Let me try Brawly's power first. Dongwu smashed the controller on Brawly's forehead and watched Brawly complete the transformation. Dongwu instantly transformed into the secret game state. The two strongest Saiyans in history are finally about to battle it out. Brawly is a natural Super Saiyan, and his strength increases very quickly. If it weren't for Paragus suppression, he would definitely be much more powerful than he is now. However, even so, Super Saiyan can be easily beaten like a child. However, Dongwu's transformation increased more than Broly's, so after thinking about it, Dongwu cancelled the secret transformation. Instead, he chose to use a power, Saiyan transformation. Dongwu's mysterious Super Series transformation inspired the power of fusion. But he can also activate the superpower and superpower alone. In order to have a fair fight with Broly, Dongwu chose the super transformation. Boom. He has the same grass-green hair as Broly, a dark green energy shield, and no obvious arrogance. The biggest change was in the body, which had suddenly grown 20 centimeters taller, and the muscles had also become abnormally enlarged. But the strange thing is that the enlarged muscles did not affect his speed. On the contrary, his body felt light and his reaction speed became faster. Broly, this is the same legendary Super Saiyan transformation as you. Come on, let me see your power. Dongwu's blood began to boil, and the excitement in his heart began to rise uncontrollably. Broly, the legendary strongest Saiyan. When he watched the theater version in his previous life, he felt sorry for Broly. This time, I finally have the opportunity to compete with Broly. You can imagine the excitement. Kakarot, Kakarot, Broly kept shouting Son Goku's name. His anger continued to rise, and his face became more and more ferocious and terrifying. Boom. Without warning, Broly launched his attack. However, Dongwu's reaction was not slow, and he raised his fist to fight with Broly's fist. Mars collides with the Earth, and the tip of a needle hits the awning. Both of them are in the super state, and both are the type to crush with strength. The fight between pure strength and body is the most passionate. The aftermath of the fight between Dongwu and Broly can kill Frieza instantly. Ha! Broly exerted his strength, and the strength and energy in his body surged again. What? There is such a thing. Dongwu was surprised. He didn't expect that Broly could burst out with more powerful power. Due to his carelessness, he suffered a hidden loss and was sent flying out by Broly. As expected of Broly, his power has no upper limit. Dongwu lamented that he only now knows the horror of Chuan Chao Saiyan. The power is simply endless and has no upper limit. Moreover, he also knows another characteristic of Xuanchao Saiyan, which is that he never tires. The more you fight, the stronger your physique becomes. The more you fight, the stronger your strength becomes. Coupled with the body that never tires, it is simply cheating. Although Dongwu is also in Chuan Chao state, his innate physique is not Chuan Chao after all, and his understanding of Chuan Chao is not as good as Broly's. After all, Broly has been adapting to Xuanchao's physique for more than 20 years. How old is Dongwu? It only takes half a year to complete the task. But I won't lose to you. Dongwu gritted his teeth and became serious. Broly, unlike any opponent he fought. Come again. Dongwu shook off his aching arm and rushed towards Broly again. At this time, his blood continued to surge, and his excitement level continued to increase. Kakarot, Broly yelled angrily, becoming stronger and stronger as he fought, becoming more and more courageous. From the beginning, they were evenly matched, but in the end, Dongwu started to be slightly at a disadvantage. Bang! The two flew upside down again. Although Dongwu was slightly at a disadvantage, the gap was not big. Broly didn't get a big advantage. Dongwu flew upside down and he also retreated. Drink. Gravity Light Kill Cannon. While flying upside down, Dongwu raised his hand and fired a Qigong cannon. The Gravity Light Killing Cannon was prepared to fight against Bo. In the world of Dragon Ball, Bo battles are very common, especially when the matches are evenly matched. Son Goku's family has a very powerful skill for playing Bo, Kamehameha Wave. So there is a saying to describe them: never compete with the Son family, even if you have an advantage, you will be overturned. Dongwu also developed his own exclusive Bo battle skill based on the principles of Kamehameha, the Gravity Light Kill Cannon. Aha! Broly is not a vegetarian either. The moment Dongwu took action, he also threw a Qigong bomb. However, Broly doesn't seem to be able to continuously output Qi. His Qigong bombs are really like cannonballs, one after another. This kind of Qigong bomb is very destructive, but it is weak against Bo. Boom! Broly's Qigong bombs only lasted for a short time before being defeated, and then the Ki blast flew towards Broly. Although the Gravity Light Cannon is prepared for Bo battle, it is about continuous output. Erupting, penetrating, and blasting in an instant are not considered strong. But Qigong is Qigong. If this blow hits Brawly, he will be injured even with Brawly's physique. After all, this is a full-force attack from someone of the same level of combat effectiveness. However, Brawly is indeed Brawly. Although his consciousness is confused, his fighting instinct is frighteningly strong. The moment the Qigong bomb was defeated, Brawly opened the fluorescent protective cover. Rumble. Ki blast bombarded the fluorescent shield, emitting a deafening explosion. Everything around him disappeared in an instant, and the sun in the sky seemed to dim. Bang! Brawly flew out of the explosion, and his fluorescent shield was shattered. However, due to the protection of the fluorescent shield and Brawly's physical condition, he was not seriously injured. Just a little embarrassed and disgraced. You are very strong. This was the only thing Brawly said besides Kakarot. Even his eyes became brighter, as if he had regained his clarity. Brawly, you are a born warrior. If you can control yourself, your achievements will be limitless. Become the invincible god of war in the universe. Dongwu looked at Brawly seriously. He really hoped that Brawly could control himself, be a true warrior. But if you can't control yourself, Dongwu's eyes turned cold. If you can't control yourself, destruction will surely follow you. Brawly, who is uncontrolled and unable to control himself, causes too much damage. If you give him enough time, few people in the universe can subdue him, or even compete with him. At that time, an invincible master who only knows destruction will put the entire universe into crisis. I can't control myself. You, help me. Brawly's mind seemed to be awake, as if he realized something was wrong with his state, and there was longing in his eyes. But soon, this part of his consciousness was submerged again. Ha ha ha, if you want me to control myself, fine, beat me. Brawly laughed arrogantly, letting out a huge amount of energy while laughing. Ha ha ha, no one can defeat me, no one. Kakarot, Kakarot, I'm going to kill you. Brawly became crazy again. Dongwu sighed, it seems that we really can only defeat Brawly first, and then find a way to slowly restore his consciousness. In the end, I hope he can control himself. Brawly is the legendary Saiyan, although he is crazy and delirious. But as the strongest Saiyan, Dongwu was born accidentally due to special circumstances. He has his own pride. Even in a crazy state, if he wants to get his approval, he must defeat him. In this case, we have no choice but to transform into a secret race. Dongwu has already competed with Brawly, and he understands that he can't win even if he guarantees not to lose just by passing the ball. If you want to crush Brawly with sheer strength, you can only transform into a secret race. Brawly, I will perform another Saiyan transformation. This is very unfair to you. It's up to you how long you can persist. After Dongwu finished speaking, he immediately performed the mysterious Saiyan transformation. Golden red hair, golden inside and green outside, steaming with arrogance. Kill you. In response to Dongwu, Brawly said 3 words full of murderous intent. Boom. Brawly's fist hit Dongwu, but the difference in strength meant that Brawly's blow was ineffective. Even Dongwu didn't move. Snapped. Dongwu slapped Brawly on the face with his backhand, causing the corner of Brawly's mouth to bleed. This slap was just random. Dongwu didn't use all his strength. But now the gap between the two is too big, the gap is doubled, and in the world of Dragon Ball, the gap is an instant kill. Angry, Brawly, I know you can be stronger. Murmured to himself. He knows that Saiyan becomes more courageous as he fights. In times of extreme anger, muscles can expand again and strength continues to increase. In the theatrical version, Brawly is said to be able to undergo 2 more expansions after his super transformation. I am the strongest, I am the strongest. No one can defeat me, ah. Brawly looked up to the sky and roared, the flames of anger rising, and the arrogance on his body began to become sharper. And as Brawly continued to roar, after reaching a certain level, his muscles expanded again, and his height even increased slightly. As his muscles expanded, Brawly's momentum increased again, and his energy also increased a lot. I am going to kill you. Brawly was slow at first, but suddenly accelerated as he approached Dongwu. The punch that penetrated everything was directed towards Dongwu's head, and it seemed that he was planning to punch Dongwu in the head. However, things are often not that simple. Dongwu caught Brawly's fist accurately, and then suddenly increased the force, causing Brawly to let out a painful scream. Boom! Dongwu raised his foot and gave Brawly another kick, kicking Brawly back in the same direction. All the rocks and land along the way were smashed into pieces. Under Brawly's body, the rocks were no different than tofu. Brawly, you are no match for me. Give up, Dongwu said calmly, but behind this calmness was the fact that Dongwu deliberately stimulated Brawly to reach his strongest state. Then defeat him and conquer him. Only in this way is it possible to convince Brawly. Brawly's anger grew higher and higher, and there was no other emotion in his eyes except murderous intent and anger. Bow! As if the blisters had burst, Brawly's figure swelled again. Grass green hair even has a faint tendency to evolve towards yellow-green. Kill you, Brawly, like an unyielding warrior, killed Dongwu again. That's right, let me see your strongest combat power. Dongwu also laughed excitedly and opened his hands to welcome Brawly. Saiyan is indeed a fighting nation. The passion for fighting and the warlike character are simply integrated into their blood and marrow. Bang 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 bang. During the fight, Brawly was constantly being pushed back and knocked away. But he kept rushing over and was knocked away again. Time and time again, the torture was horrific. But Brawly seems to be a tireless machine, a stone without pain. Even if he is defeated time and time again, he still fights against defeat without flinching. And during the battle, the strength is still growing slowly. The innate Super Saiyan is really terrifying and his growth is amazing. Dongwu sighed with emotion. To be honest, the combat power of 10,000 people born is not too strong among the top races in the universe. At least the Frozen Demon clan is much more powerful in combat when they are born. However, Brawly's growth rate and potential are much greater than them. Anyone who has played games knows that the higher the growth potential, the higher the final level you can reach. Among the top players, Brawly is one of those with amazing growth potential. The potential is endless, and there is no need to worry about running out of potential without practicing martial arts. What Brawly needs is the squeezing training of the Dragon Ball training system, because his potential is endless. However, after fighting for so long, Dongwu also had a rough idea of Brawly's combat effectiveness. There is no practical point in fighting anymore. This battle should be over. Dongwu raised his head and looked at Brawly and sighed. Brawly's strength is already very strong, at least even the Complete Cell and Lightning Cell are no longer Brawly's opponents today. However, there was still no way to put pressure on Dongwu. Maybe only that girl Lele can fight with me at this stage. Dongwu sighed, but he was helpless towards that girl. Almost all of her strength was forced out by Dongwu. Without supervision, she would spend 3 days fishing and 2 days drying nets. That's it. After Dongwu finished speaking, he was finally ready to use his full strength. His speed surged, both in terms of movement speed and release speed. It's nothing like it was just now. Brawly didn't even react, but Dongwu stabbed him in the back of his neck instantly, causing him to faint. Call out. The moment Brawly fainted, he cancelled the Saiyan transformation and returned to his normal state, shrinking a lot. Let me try it and see if I can help you solve your problem. Dongwu said. Instant transmission came directly to Namek. But it's the new Namek, because the story still happened almost as in the original. Frieza still went to Namek and was defeated by Son Goku, who transformed into Super Saiyan. The only difference may be that Vegeta is not involved. Looking for you. Vegeta lost news after being taken away by Zangia. Dongwu didn't even participate in the classic Namek Frieza battle. Dongwu felt it was a pity that he was not able to witness this exciting and even classic battle. The Great Elder is no longer here, and his magical ability has also disappeared. It seems that we can only try to see if Boringa can solve it. If Boringa can't solve it, then there really isn't much that can be done. In fact, something came to Dongwu's mind, Super Dragon Ball. But he is not sure whether this place is in the same line as Dragon Ball Super, and whether there is Super Dragon Ball. Secondly, even having Super Dragon Ball is useless. Because the Super Dragon Ball is scattered in the 6th and 7th universes, he has no ability to pass through the universe barrier. Taking a step back, even if he could penetrate the universe barrier and enter the 6th universe, would he dare to commit a crime under the eyes of Vados and Champa? Champa is not sleepy like Beerus. Challenge the gods of destruction with his might. He didn't want to die so wonderfully. Elder Namek has many magical abilities and may be able to do something to the soul. After all, Namek people can divide one body into two parts, and their souls can be divided into two people. Assimilation can also occur, causing two or even more people to become one. This kind of control over the soul is beyond the reach of ordinary people. And the difference between Brawly and Slug is that Slug is inherently bad and he knows what he is doing. And Brawly is not bad, but he cannot control himself. But unfortunately, the Great Elder has passed away. The new Great Elder's ability is much worse than that of the original Great Elder, and he is helpless to deal with Brawly's situation. As a last resort, I had to turn to Namek Shenron. Come out, Poranga. The Namek Dragon Ball must be summoned in the Namek language. Frieza once missed making a wish because he did not know the Namek language. Dongwu knew this, so he specifically asked a Namek person to help. Click. Suddenly there was lightning and thunder, and the sky darkened. A huge Namek Shenron connected to the sky and appeared in the sky above Namek. Say your wish, no matter what it is, I can help you realize 3 of them. Shenron gave a standard programmed blow and looked down at Dongwu, Namek and Brawly who was lying down. Shenron, please let Brawly control his power. Dongwu expressed his wish and asked the Namek people to translate it to Shenron. Shenron lowered his head and thought for a while, then raised his head and said, "This wish is very simple." After saying this, Shenron's eyes flashed red and then said, "Your wish has come true. Say the second wish." In fact, whether it is Earth Shenron or Namek Shenron, the wishes that can be realized are said to be very simple. A wish that cannot be realized is beyond the capabilities of the maker. It feels a little too pretentious. However, Dongwu was not surprised that this wish came true. Because if Brawly's power is placed on the Great Elder Namek, it will definitely not be uncontrollable and cause confusion. Please restore Brawly's confused consciousness. Dongwu then said his second wish. This wish cannot be realized because his confusion of consciousness is mainly caused by the inability to control the power, which causes the power to impact the soul. Now that he has controlled the power, confusion will no longer occur. Shenron's eyes glowed red for a while, and then said, "In this case, my wish is over." Dongwu nodded to the Namek man. Then Namek spoke to Palunka for a while, and then he saw Palunka disappear from the sky, and 7 huge Dragon Balls turned into stones and fell to the ground. Namek's Dragon Ball is different from the Earth and will not be scattered around the world. Brawly, I look forward to your growth. After Dongwu finished speaking, he took Brawly away from Namek. However, Dongwu did not take him back to Earth, but to an uninhabited planet, waiting for Brawly to wake up. This planet is very large and very suitable for living creatures. Nowadays, there are many living things on the planet, but there are no humans yet. Moreover, the gravity of the planet is very strong, 12 times the gravity of the Earth, which is even greater than the gravity of the original planet Vegeta. But for Brawly and Dongwu today, this gravity is almost non-existent. I have to say that Brawly's physique is enviable. Brawly woke up just after Dongwu arrived on the uninhabited planet. You know, Dongwu came to this planet via instant transmission, and it didn't take much time in between. This planet was discovered by Dongwu when he was exploring the universe, and he once thought of using it as his own back garden. It seems good to place Brawly now. Ah, Brawly woke up, let out a moan of pleasure, and stretched greatly. Brawly, how are you feeling? Looking at Brawly's clear eyes, Dongwu knew that Brawly was awake now. However, I still hope he can experience this state. In fact, Brawly is still very sober when he doesn't transform into Super Saiyan and doesn't meet Son Goku. But there are 2 stimuli that will drive Brawly crazy, one is meeting Son Goku, and the other is transforming into Saiyan. Very good, better than ever before. I feel relaxed all over, as if some kind of shackles have been removed. My whole body feels comfortable and relaxed. Brawly clenched his fists and looked at Dongwu with a smile on his face. You really helped me. I did it, thank you. You don't need to thank me. I'm Saiyan too. I don't want you, as a legendary warrior, to become an irrational beast. Dongwu shook his head. He really felt sorry for Brawly. Fortunately, Brawly regained consciousness. If Brawly could not be cured, he would definitely destroy Brawly himself. Fortunately, that didn't happen. Brawly, you are now trying to transform into Super Saiyan, the legendary Super Saiyan transformation. For Chuan Chao Saiyan, it is Super Saiyan transformation, see if you can control your own power. Dongwu said to Brawly. He didn't take Brawly back to Earth because he had this concern. If Brawly transforms into Saiyan and loses control again, it will cause too much damage to the Earth. Even if he could subdue Brawly. However, if an accident occurs, it only takes one Qigong bomb to hit the Earth, and the entire Earth will be finished. Good. Brawly nodded, then shouted and transformed into Chuan Chao Saiyan. Her grass-green hair is flying, and her strong and huge muscles are full of energy. How do you feel? Dongwu watched Brawly look at himself curiously, nodded and asked again without any unexpected situation. Good, I feel like I have full control over my own power. Brawly replied. Well, it seems it's okay. Dongwu nodded, feeling relieved suddenly. But thinking about another exciting point of Brawly, Dongwu felt a little unsure. Had no choice but to prod Brawly again. Then what will you do if you meet Kakarot now? After asking, Dongwu saw a flash of anger on Brawly's face. But it disappeared soon. If Dongwu hadn't been paying attention to Brawly, he wouldn't have been able to find it. I'm going to give him a good beating. Brawly finally said through gritted teeth. Although he has sobered up and no longer hates Son Goku. But it seems that he still has resentment and wants to beat up Son Goku to vent his anger. Dongwu actually still doesn't understand why Brawly is so resentful and dissatisfied with Son Goku. The two of them didn't seem to have much in common, and they only spent some time together in the nursery when they were babies. Moreover, it was his powerful anger that scared Son Goku to tears at that time. It should be Son Goku who was angry with Brawly. He didn't understand why Brawly had so much resentment towards Son Goku. Dongwu doesn't quite understand the grudge between Brawly and Son Goku. He also knew from cartoons in his previous life that Brawly hated Son Goku. But specifically why this is the case, Dongwu doesn't quite understand. Can I ask, why do you hate Kakarot so much? Dongwu looked at Brawly and asked with curiosity. Brawly was stunned, obviously not expecting Dongwu to ask this question. Then he shook his head and said funny ly, actually, I don't know why I hate Kakarot. Apart from his anger, I can't even remember his appearance. Brawly is also very confused. There is no deep hatred between him and Son Goku. The two of them have no other interactions except for a period of time together in the nursery. But it's strange, like fate. There is a voice in my heart telling me that Kakarot is my enemy and I want to kill him. Brawly is also very strange, but there is such a voice in his heart. Dongwu lowered his head and was silent for a while after hearing this, but he couldn't guess why. Fate. I don't believe in fate. Raising his head again, Dongwu thought with firm eyes. Brawly, now that you have control over your powers, I'd like you to do one thing for me. Dongwu looked at Brawly seriously, his expression was serious, proving that he was not joking. Brawly also felt Dongwu's seriousness, and he became serious even if he didn't dare to be careless. He nodded and said, you saved me. I will definitely help you do whatever you need. Dongwu waved his hand and said, actually, it's not a big deal. You don't need to be so serious. No matter what, just say it. Brawly did not relax and still said seriously. Okay. Dongwu nodded and then said, I hope that in the name of your Super Saiyan, you can summon Saiyans from all over the universe and gather them together on this planet. Then you have an important task, which is to guide Saiyans out of evil. Towards justice. Restore the Saiyan nation. Isn't Saiyan already exterminated? Even planet Vegeta was destroyed by Frieza. Brawly asked in confusion after hearing Dongwu's words. Although he is unconscious, he can still control himself when not transforming. He had heard about what happened to Saiyan. But of course he hated Saiyan and King Vegeta and didn't care at all. You should know that Kakarot was sent to a low-level planet because of his low combat ability at birth. Dongwu said. That's right, low-level warriors have low training value because of their low combat effectiveness. Therefore, they will be sent to low-level planets after birth and treated as disposable consumables, leaving them to fend for themselves. Brawly nodded, he still knew this. That's right, lower-level Saiyan warriors are all people who have been abandoned or even abandoned. They were sent to various low-level planets in the universe and were used as consumables. No one would even look at them even if they died. Dongwu was a little helpless. The original Saiyan was really it's too ruthless. But, they are still Saiyan after all. The low-level warriors sent out every year range from dozens to thousands. Even if most of these Saiyans die, over time, they will still be a terrifying number. However, they are disappointed with planet Vegeta, so most of them will not return to planet Vegeta. And what I want you to do is to gather these Saiyans. Re-establish the Saiyan planet and recreate the Saiyan nation. However, what I need is a righteous Saiyan nation, not evil villains. For those who repent of their crimes, no need to expel, just kill on the spot. Dongwu expressed his thoughts and plans at once. Then his eyes were fixed on Broly to see what his thoughts and reactions were. However, Broly's reaction satisfied him. Broly lowered his head and frowned, thinking for a while before saying, "The universe is too big. Even if there are tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of Saiyans scattered in the universe, they won't make a splash. It's not easy to send the message and gather them. And there must be many who don't want to come. As for those who persist in admonishing, it's quite easy." Dongwu nodded. He also knew it was not easy. Although he had thought about it before, he had not done so. On the one hand, it is really troublesome to summon them. On the other hand, it is prestige. His prestige is not enough. But Broly is different. He said that the legendary Super Saiyan is the spiritual belief of Saiyan. Even among Saiyan, the legendary Super Saiyan is a god. If God calls them, it will be much easier and most Saiyan will accept it. But Broly is right, the universe is too big. Saiyan is scattered in every corner of the universe, and it is difficult to transmit messages alone. But, Dongwu patted Broly on the shoulder, do your best, and obey fate. Gather as many as you can. I hope the Saiyan nation can be reborn. Okay, I'll do my best. Broly nodded and agreed, but he still didn't understand Dongwu's approach. Because Saiyan is originally a nation with weak emotions. Be it family affection, friendship or national sentiment, it is very weak. As long as he thinks he is strong enough, what does it matter to others? But thinking about Dongwu going to great lengths to help him, Broly seemed to understand a little bit more. Okay, then I'll leave this to you. Remember, we are the fighting nation Saiyan. Warlike but not bloodthirsty, peaceful but not surrendering. We are a nation. If the nation disappears, there will be no way to say that we are Saiyan. Nation is our pride and our root. Dongwu put his hands on Broly's shoulders, held Broly's shoulders firmly and said firmly. Okay, leave it to me. Looking at Dongwu's appearance, thinking about Dongwu's words, and then thinking about the people on those planets who risked their lives to save their own nation when he once conquered the Western Galaxy. For a moment he seemed to understand. Well, then I'll leave first. Dongwu nodded and used instant transmission to leave the planet that had just been named Saiyan Star. Dongwu is not worried that Broly will be trapped here, not to mention the Universe spacecraft in the Universal capsule left by Dongwu. Even Broly himself can travel across the universe even if he opens the fluorescent shield. As a baby, he used this trick to save himself and his father, Paragus. After leaving Saiyan Planet, the former Saiyan Planet was called Planet Vegeta. This new planet was renamed Saiyan Star to distinguish it. Dongwu instant transmission returned to Earth. When they returned to Earth, they found that two crazy girls, Dongla and Dongyu, were drinking. And looking at the wine bottles staggering on the ground, it was obvious that he had drank a lot. Dongwu's nose was almost crooked with anger. Is this how these unlucky children lived when he wasn't at home? Dongwu's forehead was throbbing with veins, and he wanted to grab him and beat him severely. Stand up! Dongwu roared angrily, shaking the house. Dongla, who was drinking, had the same conditioned reflex as Dongyu. He jumped up and stood upright. You are really mad at me. Come out. After Dongwu finished speaking, he walked out first, leaving an angry figure behind. What a tragedy, why did eldest brother suddenly come back? Dongyu frowned in fear. It's okay, let me deal with him. Dongla waved his hand indifferently. She didn't believe that Dongwu would really teach them both a lesson. Then, one of the two people walked out anxiously and the other nonchalantly. Dongwu's face was livid. Before he left, he told Bobby to follow Cassio's trick and ask him to find a girlfriend. It's a good thing now. I don't know whether Bobby has learned or not. Both girls have become drunkards. Tell me, who told you to drink? Dongwu's face was expressionless, and his face was so gloomy that water could drip from his face. Brother, Dongyu looked a little scared when he saw Dongwu's face, and tried to say something, but in the end only a few words came out. What are you doing? Who taught you how to drink? I taught you so many things and you didn't learn it. But when others taught you how to drink, you learned it immediately. Dongwoo's heart is so cold. And I was vaguely afraid of being tricked by some bad boy into going out for a drink and doing something drunk. Dongwoo definitely has the heart to kill. Dongyu was embarrassed to speak and looked down at the ground. Dongla, who was so arrogant just now, is a little timid now. After all, 1 or 20 years of accumulated prestige is still very important. And you, Dongla, you are already 30 years old, and you are often crazy if you are not looking for a partner. Now you are taking your sister to drink. You are really capable, ah. Dongwoo poked Dongli's forehead with his finger, and Dongla didn't hide away, smiling along with him. Dongwoo was embarrassed to scold her again. Brother, what we are drinking is not ordinary wine. This is wine collected by Lord Kaio. I heard it is very helpful for cultivation. If you don't believe me, ask Yuyu. Dongla said sarcastically, winking at Dongyu as he spoke. However, Dongwoo was so angry that he didn't pay so much attention. Yes, brother, it is really collected by Kaio-sama. He said it can help people understand the realm. Dongyu wasn't stupid either. He immediately agreed when he saw Dongli's eyes. He nodded wildly with a serious look on his face, as if to increase his credibility. Real, Dongwoo was suspicious. He had been with Kaio for several years, so why hadn't he heard that Kaio had a hobby of collecting wine? However, these two girls shouldn't dare to lie to themselves so blatantly, right? If the two of them said this, it should be credible. Dongwoo nodded, but he couldn't let them go. Then he lectured for a while, even if it's Kaio's wine, you can't drink too much. Then Dongwoo lost his temper, turned his head and returned to the house with an angry snort. Looking at the empty bottle, there is really no packaging, it is just a very ordinary bottle. As for the taste of the wine, Dongwoo said that he had never drank alcohol in his past and present lives, and he really couldn't tell the difference. Following Dongwoo, Dongyu and Dongla also walked in step by step. Since the king of Kai said it is helpful for cultivation, I will allow you to drink a little. However, you can only drink a little. If you let me find out that you drank so much next time, be careful of your butts. I will not let you off easily again. We know, Dongyu answered quickly and assured with a serious look. But Dongla was reluctant and muttered, that's weird. What did you say? Dongwu suddenly turned around and asked. I didn't say anything, I said I got it, brother, you should drink some too. The king of the realm said that this wine is helpful for gods to understand the realm. Dongla quickly shook his head and said with a smile on his face. Then he pushed an unopened bottle of wine on the table in front of Dongwu. It even helps with the realm of divine understanding. Dongwu is really moved, he is now one with nature and man. The next realm is really a bit confusing. Maybe this wine is really useful. As for getting drunk, Dongwu said that Saiyan's constitution should be able to drink some. Then I'll give it a try. Dongwu opened the bottle with an expression on his face and drank a little. The smell is a bit weird, not quite what it smells like. A spicy and hot feeling rises from the body. Seeing Dongwu drink, Dongyu and Dongla looked at each other with some inexplicable meaning. A smile appeared on his face at the same time. This wine isn't any different, is it? Dongwu took a sip. Apart from feeling a little dizzy, he didn't feel that it would help him understand the realm. He immediately asked in confusion. Brother, you don't understand. A little bit of wine can't be of any use. Even drinking medicine can't be effective immediately. It needs to be used for a long time to be effective. So I moved all the Kaio's collection back. Dongla quickly explained to Dongwu attentively, and even took the initiative to help Dongwu pour wine. It seems so. When Dongwu thought about it, it really made sense. So he nodded and drank a glass of wine in one gulp. After drinking a glass of wine, Dongwu shook his head and said, Kaiwang is really unlucky to know you. You can make anything happen. Looking at Dongyu and Dongla in a funny way, Dongwu felt that it was not necessarily a good thing that they were both lawless and innocent at the same time. Okay, sit down. I won't care about it today. Dongwu looked at the reserved two people and pointed to the chairs next to them for them to sit down. Then had another drink. He drinks a drink, and Dongla pours another. Unconsciously, the bottle of wine Dongwu opened was empty. A little dizzy, Dongwu covered his head, feeling like the world was spinning. He had never drunk alcohol in his previous life. This time he drank a bottle of strong alcohol. It would be strange if he didn't faint. Although drinking alcohol has a certain relationship with physical constitution, some people may be physically suitable for drinking and can drink a lot after adapting. But if you have never drank alcohol, you will not be able to drink much no matter how good your health is. I don't know whether Dongwoo's body is suitable for drinking, but it is obvious that this time he failed. Sure enough, Dongwoo felt dizzy as soon as he stood up, and then fell onto the table. Fortunately, Dongwoo's current physique, otherwise his appearance would be disfigured. Hee, I told you to bully me. I think you'll fall into my hands this time, huh? Looking at the unconscious Dongwoo, Dongla smiled happily, and Dongyu beside him couldn't help but nod. Sister Lele was so smart that she tore off the packaging of the wine bottle. I didn't expect my eldest brother to be so stupid. In fact, it's not that Dongwoo is too stupid. Who would have thought that the person closest to him would set such a trap on him? If Dongwoo knew about this when he was sober, he would have to say that the farthest way is indeed a routine. Yuyu, go find your second and third brothers first, tell them that the eldest brother is back, and let them avoid the limelight. I will send the eldest brother back to his room. Oh, Dongyu nodded quickly and flew away without looking back. Hey. Dongla looked at Dongwoo treacherously, with evil intentions on his face. If you fall into my hands, I will let you know how powerful I am this time. Dongla said, picking up one of Dongwoo's legs and dragging Dongwoo toward the room like a dead dog. Hee, I want to punish you, but you can't escape from my grasp. Dongla threw Dongwoo on the bed and sat beside the bed having fun. As if some kind of victory had been achieved. Lord of the Temple. Study. One day, Gao Shun imprisoned Helen Zi and Lan in the dungeon and reported to Yi Tian's study. Magic House. Hearing this story, Lu Yi stood aside with a frown. A lot has happened recently. Last night, you were assassinated. Today, the Binzhou cavalry was killed in the street. These are no small things. If they don't handle it well, they will frustrate Yi Tian's prestige in Shanghai City and think that the new city lord cannot rule. You should catch it, you should kill it. Whatever magical refuge he has. Yi Tian was indifferent to this. There is no room for compromise on these issues. Yes, God. Gao Shun laughed when he heard this. Yi Da said he noticed. Oh my gosh, this is a big deal. Asher is sending his troops to lead them. He's expected to arrive tomorrow. Outside the study, Yu Jin strode in. He fell down as soon as he saw Yi Tiano, who was very tall and full of fighting spirit. He can't wait to lead the army to fight the enemy, fight with the army, kill the generals, capture the flag and cross the battlefield. So fast. Yi Tian, Lu Yi, and Gao Shun all showed a hint of surprise. They prepared for war, but they didn't expect it to happen so soon. Lord, there are 100,000 soldiers under Aki's command. They are all magic warriors. They are powerful and should not be underestimated. Lu Yi bowed gently to Yi Tian, but he was calm because his excitement was different from Gao Shun and Yu Jin. If 100,000 people die, Ziyang will teach me how to fight this war. Yi Tian looked directly at Lu Yi. Lu Yi is a first-level strategist of the Three Kingdoms. When marching and fighting, it is normal to eat and drink water. In this war, if he is not careful, he may die in the sea. Who can stop an attack of 100,000 people? There are 3,000 Binzhou cavalry, 2,000 Sao Wirui soldiers, 1,000 trapped Rui camp soldiers, and 3,000 Xinrui camp soldiers. These add up to 9,000. No, not 10,000. There is a big difference between 10,000 and 100,000. Lord, although we have the advantage of the city, we cannot defend it. We can only wait to defend the city. Lu Yi is very amiable. He gently extended a hand to Yi Tian and led them to the center of the study. There is a map of Shanghai City on the round table here. In addition to the current large cities, there are also some small cities around Shanghai City and Gongwei Shanghai City. When Yi Tian came to the mainland, these cities were occupied by him. Now Yi Tian defends the city. Regardless of whether he wants to divide his troops to protect the surrounding small cities, the surrounding small cities will be captured one by the 100,000-strong army headed by Yashi. At that time, the sea will be a huge place of death. They can't go out, people can't come in. For a long time, the city was full of chaos and trouble. When they saw the map, there was a glimmer of clarity. I really can't defend this city. Yi Tian nodded slightly. They only had 9,000 soldiers and horses. Although the army is strong, it is difficult to consider the cities around Shanghai City. I suggest you ambush. Lu Yi looked at the Qishan Forest, which is 50 miles west of Shanghai City. This is the only way to go to Haiju Prefecture in the east. God, last time I burned the coast, I was able to drive the sea animals to attack the city. This time I will burn the armies of Asia for the Lord. Lu Yi said confidently with a smile. This made Gao Shun and Yu Jin look at each other with emotion. Gao Shun thought of Chen Gong and gave Wen Hu advice. If he had been born, Gao Shun believed that he would not be worse than Lu Yi. There are many people in my heart. From the beginning of Cao Wei's playwright to the beginning of Wang Zouji's Zunzi, from Guo Jia's ghost to Jia Shu's poison, these are Cao Wei's top advisors, and his fame is dozens of times that of Lu Yi. If these people were born, I fear the entire land of Magic Porch would be destroyed if they couldn't resist one of their plots. The great talent of Ziyang. What about the salary window? Yi Tian looked up at Lu Yi and smiled. The next day, noon. Qishan. On the official road deep in the forest, rows of iron-framed troops were like giant iron snakes, winding their way along the mountain road. How long does it take to get to the beach? In the Celestial Army, Yasi asked for his bodyguards. Your Majesty, after you leave this western mountain, you will arrive at Shanghai City. The guard asked in a low voice. Very good. At this time, a thick rain of snake-shaped arrows began to fall from the sky, which was very sudden. A large number of soldiers were killed, and the rockets that failed to hit the man quickly ignited surrounding trees. For example, in today's sky, under high temperatures, wind borrows fire, and fire borrows wind. The entire forest turned into a sea of fire. Don't screw it up. In the army, the generals shouted, but a rain of swords in the sky came quickly and never ended at all. Casualties increased dramatically. In the army, Ace was furious. He watched the sword rain fall. He didn't expect that the other party would set up such a fierce ambush here. In the final analysis, the world is far less resourceful and well calculated than the World War of China. No matter how careful the march is, there will be no surprise attack ahead. Prosperity. The fire in the sky instantly ignited the entire forest. Get out of the fire. Yasi saw 7 levels of fire magic. He soon lit up the entire mountain. He knew he couldn't drag it out any longer. 100,000 troops could only be burned alive on the mountain. He could only order to rush out with a loud voice. Hundreds of thousands of troops rushed out at high speed. Some soldiers fell during the attack because of the concentration of arrows in the sky. The soldiers behind stepped on the fallen soldiers and rushed towards them. These people were crushed directly into mud and died miserably. On another big mountain outside Qishan, Yu Jin held Zhang's hand. The bank pays the company's property. I hope the company can't. 3,000 veterans and 2,000 Cao Weirui soldiers were pulling the Cloud Chuan bow behind them. After a round of throwing, the rockets behind were finally used up. Walk. Yu Jin whispered to the soldiers behind him that the 5,000 army had carefully disappeared into the mountains. At the foot of the western mountain, looking at the scattered troops, his face became heavy. Your Majesty, according to statistics, nearly 10,000 soldiers died here. A middle-aged general bowed carefully to Yaxi and said softly. When hundreds of thousands of soldiers went out, they couldn't see the enemy. In fact, they have caused nearly 10,000 losses. He has never fought such a war. The whole army is reorganized and we are attacking Shanghai City at night. I want ye to die, not live. When he roared, he looked like a ferocious lion. He would bite him if he wanted to. Son Gohan is also a very popular character, especially in the Cell chapter and the Majin Buu chapter. In the Cell chapter, Gohan transforms into Super Saiyan 2 in anger and defeats the entire body. Cell has no pressure, but in the end, due to overconfidence in his own power, his father Son Goku and King Kai died together. In the Majin Buu chapter, although Gohan cannot keep up due to his neglected martial arts. But after the old Supreme Kai developed his potential, he transformed into the mysterious Gohan. I tortured Majin Buu to no end. However, due to being neglected for too long and being careless, he was absorbed by Majin Buu. In the end, Son Goku and Vegeta rescued him. But at this time, he was still a child of about 5 years old and had no obvious flaws in his character. And also very polite. "Hello, Uncle Dong-woo." Little Gohan bowed to Dong-woo and said, "There is a very interesting thing in the world of Dragon Ball. That is, regardless of age, men of the senior generation are called uncle. If in Dong-woo's previous life, son Gohan should be called uncle. Gohan is so good and has good strength. Try to surpass your father." Dong-woo touched Gohan's little head and said approvingly. Dong-woo believes that this Gohan is definitely much more powerful than the original Gohan. On the one hand, he practiced the martial arts passed down by Dong-woo, and on the other hand, Chi-Chi no longer prohibited Gohan from practicing. With Gohan's own talent, coupled with his martial arts skills and diligent practice, I believe his growth is something to look forward to. "Yes, Uncle Dong-woo," Gohan said in a decent manner. "Well done, I just have something to ask Goku, you guys should come too." Dong-woo smiled and nodded, then walked towards the gravity room. Son Goku is here. Son Goku has his own way. Although he also practices the martial arts taught by Dong-woo, he still likes squeezing training. Maybe, this is what suits him best. Although Son Goku's innate qualifications are not high, his potential is definitely sufficient. "It's Dong-woo here, please wait a moment." Son Goku's voice came from the gravity chamber. Because Dong-woo did not restrain his energy, Son Goku could easily sense it. Dong-woo didn't say anything. He found a sofa and sat there waiting for Son Goku. Piccolo and Gohan also sat down. Soon, Son Goku walked out of the gravity room. "Dong-woo, what do you want from me?" Son Goku asked doubtfully. Under normal circumstances, Dong-woo would not come to him if there was nothing special. Since Dong-woo is here this time, something must be going on. Although Son Goku in Dragon Balls is simple, his IQ is still online. It's not like Dragon Ball, it's just mindless. "There's nothing special, I just want to ask you about Frieza." Dong-woo said briefly, and then asked Son Goku to talk about the process and the final result. Following Son Goku's description, Dong-woo found that the experience was similar to the original work, just without Vegeta's participation. In the end, Son Goku did not completely destroy Frieza, although it is not sure whether Frieza is still alive. But Dong-woo, who is familiar with the original work, knows that Frieza can survive in the vacuum of the universe. If Frieza could not be completely killed, he would most likely survive. Although there are no Kurds, there will be others for Balbaki. Forget it, it seems that you are not cruel enough or decisive enough. Dong-woo is helpless, he has worked very hard to change Son Goku's character. From the front, it seems that he is a little more decisive than before. However, his essence has not changed, he is still kind to a fault. Son Goku scratched his head, he also felt embarrassed. But since his nature was such, he didn't feel there was anything wrong. However, he also felt a little sorry for his friends. "Goku, what did you say? You didn't kill Frieza completely." Piccolo, who didn't know this yet, heard about it for the first time. He immediately yelled at Son Goku angrily, almost deafening him. Can Piccolo not be angry? Although they were all resurrected, the Namek people were almost killed by Frieza. Even if he was resurrected later, Naru would assimilate with him and disappear completely. Even Klin died again. Piccolo, don't be angry. The worst is, if he does bad things again, I will deal with him again. This time I will kill him completely. Son Goku saw Piccolo getting angry, and immediately waved his hands, smiling coquettishly. Son Goku is not an idiot, he also knows why Piccolo is angry. But things were already like this, and he had no choice but to make an embarrassing promise. Snort. Piccolo was still upset, snorted angrily and turned around and walked out. Son Gohan looked left and right, and finally chased Piccolo out. "Okay Goku, this is your character, and I won't force it. However, everyone must bear the consequences of their own character and behavior. When you make a decision, you must be responsible for that decision. If Frieza does something bad again, then the people he kills will all die because of you, it can be said that you were indirectly killed. Think carefully for yourself, and don't make a decision based on your own preferences next time." In fact, Dong-woo doesn't like an excuse very much, that is, she has this temper, so you should be more patient. Why should I bear it? Her temper is her business and no one can control it. But that is only his or her business and has nothing to do with anyone else. Since it doesn't matter, why should others take care of it? No one cares about your own temper, but please don't impose it on others. No one has the obligation to take care of you. Everyone must be responsible for themselves. After Dongwoo finished speaking, he ignored the thoughtful Son Goku, sighed and walked out. Although he had already guessed this outcome, Dongwoo couldn't help but feel troubled by Son Goku's kindness and innocence. In fact, we can't say that Son Goku is wrong. After all, he has no obligation to solve other people's problems. If it's resolved, it's friendship. If it's not resolved, you won't owe anyone else anything. It's just that Dongwoo hopes that he will change something and not harm others and himself in the future because of his kindness. After all, there will be many bosses to fight in the future, and Dongwoo will not have the time to wipe their butts for them. Dongwoo left, Piccolo left angrily, and Gohan went after Piccolo. Son Goku is alone, meditating on the sofa. When I got home, I found that Casio, Bobby and Dongyu had returned. Casio brought Lanchi with him, and the good news was that Poppy also brought a girl back. This greatly surprised Dongwoo. In just 1 year, this little guy also became enlightened. This girl is not very good looking, but she is also pretty. There is a hint of cunning in her gentleness, and it can be seen that she is also an eccentric girl. Dongwoo saw that both Casio and Poppy found girlfriends, and he was finally relieved and very happy at the same time. There was a feeling of relief. Poppy, please introduce this girl. Dongwoo could tell that this girl had never practiced and her combat power was only a little or even slightly weaker. Brother, her name is Tillian, and she is my girlfriend. After Bobby said to Dongwoo, he turned to Tillian and said, this is my eldest brother, Dongwoo. As for my second brother, sister-in-law, and little sister, you all know me. Quote, hello, brother, I'm Tillian. The little girl rolled her eyes, and then she shouted sweetly. Dongwoo found it funny that this little girl named Tillian was a master with many evil ideas. I don't know how many ideas passed through my heart as soon as I rolled my eyes. Well, don't be formal when you come here. Dongwoo actually wanted to bring out some greeting gifts, but thinking about it, he really didn't prepare anything. Spiritual tree fruit. A person who doesn't practice martial arts won't have much effect after taking it, and it may cause damage because his body is too weak. After thinking about it, Dongwoo finally took out a crystal core he got from Yank. This crystal core fell from Dongwoo's body when his body turned into ashes after he killed the flame sparrow. Dongwoo could feel that it contained relatively large power, but he didn't know how to use it. However, carrying it with you can nourish the body and enhance your physical fitness to a certain extent. This is a greeting gift from eldest brother. It's good for your health to carry it with you. Dongwoo took out the universal capsule and handed it to Tillian with a smile. Big brother, I want it too. Dongyu looked at the sparkling gems and his glasses lit up. Most girls lack immunity to shiny things. However, Dongwoo only has one, so there is no one left for her. As a last resort, Dongwoo had to give her a spirit tree fruit. Dongyu happily took it. Then, he ate it in one bite. In fact, when it comes to Dongyu's level, the effect of the spirit tree fruit is no longer significant, almost non-existent. But the taste is good, and the little girl is greedy, so she still likes to eat it. Casio and Lanchi have been together for so long. Have you considered when to get married? Dongwoo looked at Casio and Lanchi and asked with a smile. In fact, both Casio and Lanchi, blue hair, are relatively shy. Don't be too proactive about relationships. If you don't remind yourself, the two of you would dare to drag it out for a lifetime. However, Dongwoo feels that since a woman is with you, you should give her a status. You can't let people follow you without knowing why. Brother, I have informed my parents that we will get married when they come back. Casio took Lanchi's hand and said to Dongwoo, while Lanchi lowered her head shyly. Dongwoo nodded with satisfaction, never expecting Casio to take the initiative. Then he looked at Bobby and Tillian and asked, what about you? Bobby scratched his head in confusion, while Tillian rolled her eyes and said with a smile, whenever brother gets married, we will get married. Dongwoo, the general, was a little embarrassed. He originally wanted them to get married quickly, but he didn't expect to be turned against him. But thinking of Dongla, Dongwoo felt that she should be given a status. This girl still harbors resentment for not marrying her for so many years, and even made herself drunk, making the rice cooked. Okay, let's get married together when our parents come back. Dongwoo thought about it and said with a smile. What, brother, do you have a girlfriend? Why didn't I know? After Dongwoo finished speaking, Casio was the first to be surprised and ask questions. He didn't hear when his elder brother found a girlfriend. Not only him, but Lanchi and Bobby didn't know either. Everyone was curious at this moment, wanting to know who the sister-in-law was. I know. Dongyu quickly raised her hand to prove her presence. Seeing everyone else's eyes turning to him, Dongyu cleared his throat and said, it's Sister Lele. Dongla wants to infer that Dongwu's matter was planned by these two girls. Of course she knows. A thunderbolt from the clear sky stunned everyone. Especially Lan Qi and Ti Lien, they are even more incredible. Casio, Poppy and Dongyu knew that Dongla and they were not biological siblings, but Lan Qi and Ti Lien didn't know that. So although others were shocked, it was not unacceptable, but these two people found it difficult to accept. How is this possible? Aren't you brothers and sisters? Lan Qi said angrily. Lan Qi, you misunderstood. In fact, Sister Lele and we are not biological brothers and sisters. She is Saiyan who escaped from planet Vegeta with her eldest brother. The two of them depended on each other and wandered in the universe. Now they are 30 years old, and we have been looking forward to it for a long time. We're waiting for them to get married. Casio explained to Lan Qi in a funny way. After his explanation, Lan Qi and Tilian realized that they had misunderstood. Suddenly feeling a little embarrassed, I smiled sheepishly. It doesn't matter. After all, we have been together since childhood. We have always considered ourselves brother and sister since arriving on Earth. You don't know that misunderstandings are normal. Dongwu smiled casually. Dongwu said he didn't care, but actually he was a little embarrassed. After all, after so many years of brother and sister, it was a bit embarrassing to suddenly become husband and wife. But the two of them have been through so much and have been together for so many years. Then it's settled. I'll urge my parents to get married together later. Poppy, go back with Tilian and ask Tilian's parents for their opinions. Dongwu nodded and then made arrangements. I have no parents. Tilian lowered her head sadly. Dongwu was stunned for a moment, and then said apologetically. I'm sorry, I didn't expect it to be like this. If this is the case, then you and Lan Qi have no objection. Lan Qi also has no parents, they didn't appear in the original work anyway, and Tilian also has no parents. This way you don't have to ask your parents for their opinion, just their consent. Lan Qi and Casio have been together for a long time, so naturally they don't have any objections. However, the situation of Bobby and Tilian still needs to be discussed between the two of them. But at this moment, Dongwu felt that space and time were distorted somewhere on the Earth, and then a huge aura descended on the Earth. This energy is very similar to Saiyan, but slightly different. Is it Trunks? Dongwu pondered for a moment. According to the time point, this time period should be the time when Trunks arrived. And although this Saiyan's power is strong, it is not very pure. It should be a Saiyan hybrid, and given the time and space distortion just now, it is probably Trunks. The reason why Dongwu can feel the distortion of time and space is that he practiced instant transmission and time distortion with him, which correspond to space and time respectively. In addition, this wave is relatively close, so Dongwu can feel it. Trunks has arrived, and the plot of the androids is about to begin. Dongwu pondered for a while. The plot of the artificial man took place 3 years after Trunks arrived on Earth. Now that Trunks has appeared, artificial humans are not far away. Chapter 61. Thinking of artificial humans, I have to say that this is a relatively successful plot in Dragon Ball. More successful than Cell and Majin Buu. A lot of preparation and rendering was done in the early stage to heighten people's expectations. It can be said that second only to Frieza. I wonder if number 18 is as beautiful as the original novel says. There are still 3 years to go, and Dongwu is already thinking about the 18th. If Dongla knew about it, a war of the century would probably begin. In fact, this was not because he was too carefree. He only thought that number 18 was good, and he never thought about doing anything about it. Although men all have the desire to have 3 wives and 4 concubines, they can generally control their own bodies. And what about Dongwu? He really doesn't have this intention yet. I think of number 18 mainly because number 18 is so amazing in the original work. Known as the most beautiful woman in Dragon Ball, Bulma is the most fair and beautiful in Dragon Ball. There has been controversy over Bulma being the most beautiful and fairest girl in Dragon Ball, but there is not much controversy about number 18 being the most beautiful and stunning girl in Dragon Ball. Basically recognized by most people. If it's as beautiful as the original book says, I might have to feel sorry for Klin. Dongwu chuckled evilly. It is abnormal to say that Dongwu has no idea about the 18th. Basically every Dragon Ball fan has an idea and is simply envious and jealous of Krillin. Some even say that Krillin is the biggest winner of Dragon Ball in life. Visible, the charm of number 18. It's just that after having Dongla, Dongwu generally doesn't want to provoke other women, and most women really look down on him. Even the super beauty number 18 who appeared in Dragon Ball. Dongwu just thought about it, but never thought that he really had to grab it and marry him home. However, it can be expected. Having been influenced by modern education and social trends in his previous life, Dongwu no longer believed in the so-called single-mindedness, nor did he care about love. The relationship between men and women is about mutual needs. The relationship between husband and wife is a responsibility. Both men and women should bear their share of responsibilities. Of course, responsibility also depends on universal values. Well, it seems that after Trunks leaves, we need to help Krillin organize the wedding as soon as possible. What if he seduced number 18 again? Dongwu, who had made up his mind, felt that this method was great. Who wants to seduce number 18? Besides, there's nothing wrong with Colin seducing number 18, right? But Dongwu, a married man, actually wanted to have two boats. Of course, Klin is almost married now. Because he now has a girlfriend, the money-worshipping girl Marin who appeared in the original work. But in today's Dragon Ball world, Dongwu made them know the importance of money. Therefore, these martial arts masters on Earth basically have a high net worth. In addition, due to his martial arts training, Klin is much taller than in the original work. Although he is still not as tall, rich and handsome as he is basically similar to a normal person. Therefore, this Marin has been following Klin and never left. It can be regarded as never leaving, covering face. Forget it, let's go see Trunks first. It will be 3 years until the 18th. Dongwu, who became more and more proud as he thought about it, wiped his saliva and then flew towards Trunks. In fact, it's not just Dongwu, basically all the martial arts masters on the Earth are here. Because Trunks did not hide his aura, such a powerful aura was like the moon in the dark night, too obvious. Dongwu arrived first, followed by Son Goku, Piccolo and Son Gohan in the second wave. Mr. Son Goku. But when Son Goku arrived, Trunks almost fell to the ground after stepping out of the time machine. Trunks' eyes almost popped out of his head. Son Goku went first, why is he on Earth now? Did history change, or did I come at the wrong time? Did I come too late? Trunks looked at Son Goku motionless, but his mind was racing. And the first person who came was very extraordinary. But my mother didn't mention this person. What's going on? Trunks was messy, and he felt a little confused. This is completely different from the history his mother told him. In the end, when he saw Krillin who was over 1.6 meters tall, Trunks felt that the whole world had deceived him. He had met Klin in his original world. Klin was only about 1.5 meters tall at that time. Why is it that Uncle Klin in this world has grown to 1.6 meters tall and is still in his early teens? Trunks looked at everyone and then at his watch. I found that the time was correct, but the history was really different. Why isn't Dad here? This is what Trunks is most confused about, because he knows that in his time and space, Vegeta is eating and drinking for free at Bulma's house. His arrival should alarm Vegeta. However, Vegeta was not among the group, and an ominous premonition filled his heart. Hello Mr. Son Goku, my name is Trunks. Excuse me, why don't you see Mr. Vegeta? Trunks saw that everyone had almost arrived, so he asked. Oh, you mean that Prince Saiyan? He came to Earth more than a year ago. After being defeated by Goku, he left with a woman named Zangya. Klin waved his hand and said indifferently. It was quite a shock that time. He had obviously worked so hard, but because of the gap in bloodline talent, he was so far behind these Saiyans. However, after experiencing the development of the Great Elder, practicing martial arts and the emergence of the gravity chamber. In recent times, Klin's combat power has approached the million mark, which is much stronger than at the same time in the original work. What? Not on Earth? Trunks really couldn't stand now. This was completely different from the history he knew. Moreover, where is the chance that Vegeta is not on Earth? In other words, there is no way for him to be born in this world. What he doesn't know yet is that Bulma from this time and space is married to Son Goku. Regardless of whether Vegeta is on Earth or not, it is destined that he will not be born. Trunks, stop asking. I know your origins and confusion. Come with me. At this time Dongwu spoke up. He felt that Trunks would faint if he continued. Taking Trunks to the distance, Dongwu began to tell Trunks about the differences. I know that you come from another time and space in the future. You are the son of Vegeta and Bulma. You appear about 2 years from now. 3 years from now, artificial humans will appear on the Earth and kill all the warriors on the Earth, including your father. Vegeta, Piccolo, everyone else. Even Gohan died in the end. Dongwu briefly explained Trunks' situation, but Trunks was shocked. He opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. Don't worry, listen to me. When you come here, it is actually not the past of your original world, but a parallel time and space. I think with Bulma's teachings, you should understand the concept of parallel space. Dongwu stopped here and looked at Trunks, who nodded blankly before continuing. In this parallel space, Bulma did not have any interaction with Vegeta, but married Son Goku. And Vegeta is not on Earth, but left with a woman named Zangia. I think they will be together. I also know the suffering in your world and want to change the future by going back to the past. This is unrealistic. However, I can help you and give you the power to change the world. Really? Trunks said in disbelief. Trunks was naturally surprised to hear that someone wanted to help him. But at the same time, I couldn't believe it. Because the person in front of him doesn't know his background or how strong he is, how can he help him? You transform into Super Saiyan. Dongwu no nonsense, after letting Trunks transform into Super Saiyan. Without even needing to transform, Trunks was at his wit's end. See, this is my strength before I transform into Super Saiyan. As long as you have 1/10 of mine, the android is nothing at all. This is a rare and domineering thing, Dongwu said. So strong, really strong. Trunks looked at Dongwu, who was always on par with him, and was stunned in surprise. Indeed, if he really had Dongwu's combat power, no, it only needed 1/10, which meant that his combat power would be 5 times what it is now. Trunks confirmed that the androids were no match for him. In fact, it's not that exaggerated. Dongwu's normal combat effectiveness is still not as good as Trunks, who transformed into a Super Sailor. Trunks' combat power should be around 400 million, and Dongwu's normal combat power is around 250 million. In fact, even if Dongwu adds the bonus of Dragon Elephant Bo Ruogong, he is still no match for Trunks under normal circumstances. But on the one hand, this was a competition, and neither of them tried their best. On the other hand, Trunks's foundation is too poor, he has almost no martial arts realm, and he is just a barbaric fighting style. However, even so, 1/10 of Dongwu's combat effectiveness is enough to deal with artificial humans. In the original work, the strength of artificial humans is about 700 million. The combat power of number 18 in the future time and space where Big Trunks is located is about 400 million. Big Trunks once said that if you meet an artificial person, you can fight 1, 2 will run away. And if Dongwu had 1/10 of his normal combat power, he would have 1.25 billion when he transformed into a Super Sailor. There is no pressure at all when fighting against artificial humans from the future time and space. Please teach me. Trunks stopped immediately and asked Dongwu for advice. Although I know that this time and space is not the same world as my own, it would be better if I could get powerful power to save my own time and space. But what makes Trunks a little uncomfortable is that Bulma in this time and space actually married Son Goku, which means that he will no longer exist. Okay, I will conduct special training for you for 1 year. But don't worry, I will borrow the temple's spiritual time room, which is only open 1 day a year. After Dongwu finished speaking, he took Trunks directly to the temple. Fly away. The two of them left, but others were confused and even a little upset. This is anticlimactic and makes people a little confused. But there was one person who couldn't contain his horror, and that was Piccolo. The structure of his ears is different from other people's, so he can hear the conversation between two people clearly. He doesn't worry about artificial humans or anything like that. After all, there are Dongwu's family and Son Goku on Earth, and artificial humans are not a big threat. What shocked him was that Trunks was actually the son of Bulma and Vegeta. But looking back at Bulma, who was married to Son Goku, and her bulging belly, Piccolo's face twitched unconsciously. Why did they leave? Who is that young man? Everyone was confused and grumbling. They came in high spirits, but they didn't hear anything. That boy comes from the future of another time and space. Piccolo removed Trunks' identity and explained it to everyone. Then he said hello and left with Son Gohan. Son Goku and others scratched their heads and went back. An artificial man. I didn't expect Dr. Gallo to be really talented. I hope the artificial man will be stronger. Militant Son Goku is still optimistic, but others are feeling the pressure. Even Trunks, who transformed into Super Saiyan, is no match, and with their strength, they probably have no room to interfere. Therefore, everyone is ready to step up their practice. On the other side, Dongwu brought Date to the temple. After explaining his purpose, Bobo took Dongwu and Date into the spiritual time room. Trunks, when I fought with you just now, I found that although you successfully transformed into Super Saiyan, your foundation is really poor, and your martial arts level is almost zero. I will teach you this year. Theoretical knowledge, martial arts realm and improved combat effectiveness. Dongwu was now in front of Date with a look of disgust on his face. I know, but there is no one in my dimension who can teach me. Even Brother Gohan has died in the battle, Trunks said, and his glasses turned red. No one knows how he got here after so many years and how much pressure he is under. He shoulders the fate of the entire human race and the hopes of all Earth warriors. He couldn't lose, but he didn't even have anyone to share the burden with. He cannot be cowardly, because everyone's hope lies in him. No matter how painful and tiring it is, no matter how difficult or wronged it is, you can only bear it yourself. But my heart still feels blocked. I will teach you. Not only will I make up for what you are missing, I will also teach you my martial arts. Let your strength and potential continue to increase. Now, I will teach you the basic knowledge of martial arts first. Within the next year, Dongwu continued to teach Trunks various martial arts knowledge. He trains Trunks non-stop and fights against him every day. In the first half of the year, apart from completing the basics, Trunks spent most of the rest of his time improving his martial arts realm. Pure combat effectiveness improvement is not much. But Trunks is clearly a patient and strong-willed warrior. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to hold on for so long alone. His perseverance and mentality are excellent. In the second half of the year, Dongwu's training began to change. Trunks' improvement began to accelerate, becoming extremely rapid, improving 10 times and 100 times. In just half a year, Trunks' normal combat power increased from 8 million to 30 million. It can be said that it is like riding a rocket, and the super race transformation has also reached full power. On the last week of the year, Dongwu stopped training Trunks. Trunks, with your current strength, you can easily defeat the artificial man. But don't be proud and don't stop. I hope you won't give up your martial arts training and always insist on constantly surpassing yourself. Thank you, Mr. Dongwu. I can feel that my current strength far exceeds that of an android. Please rest assured that I will never let another tragedy happen. Trunks nodded seriously. You are a qualified warrior, and I look forward to your future. The 1-year period is coming soon, and I will give you 2 more gifts. The first is the martial arts I promised you. Today I will teach you Tai Chi. Dongwu spent the last week teaching Tai Chi to Trunks. He also told him the key points of cultivation and the misunderstandings he could easily fall into. Although time was a bit tight, it was enough for Trunks. Feel well and keep practicing. Dongwu finally gave Trunks a spiritual tree fruit to replenish the energy lost due to so many years of brutal fighting. Mr. Dongwu, thank you very much for your help to me. I will go back to rescue my companions first, and then I will come back to fight side by side with you. Trunks boarded the time machine and nodded solemnly to Dongwu. Go back and bring this to Bulma, she can understand it. Dongwu ruffled Trunks' hair, patted his shoulder, and said with great satisfaction. In the world of Dragon Ball, there are 2 truly qualified or perfect warriors. One is Piccolo, the other is Dante. He fights calmly, kills decisively, and has no obvious character flaws. It's a pity that little Trunks is reduced to a funny character. Uncle Dong-woo, goodbye uncles. I will definitely come back. Date boarded the time machine and slowly disappeared from everyone's eyes. Date left with a trace of confusion and joy, returning to his own time and space. The other one who was confused was Piccolo, because everyone else just saw two people talking and didn't know who told whom. But Piccolo really heard it, and he knew that Dongwoo knew everything in advance. Who knows? After so many years of contact with Dongwoo seems to be able to know everything in advance. But Piccolo also knows that some people have special abilities, such as the former Great Elder Namek who can predict the future. This is not impossible, it is just enviable. I hope Trunks can get through this. Piccolo sighed, full of worries about the troubled Earth. Piccolo is thoughtful and considers the long term. Otherwise, how could he be rated as one of the two most perfect fighters by Dongwoo? Although in the later stage, due to his potential, his combat effectiveness could not keep up, and he became the nanny of the Gohan family. But in terms of combat strategy and combat wisdom, Piccolo is definitely one of a kind. And Dongwoo also immediately entered a state of seclusion after Date returned. Because of a year of training in the spiritual time room, he has also reached the full power of Super Saiyan 1. Including Super Saiyan and Mysterious Saiyan, all have reached full power. The Dragon Elephant Bow Ruogong is also on the verge of breakthrough, and the 72 Disha acupuncture points have been fully opened. Song wants to connect the Disha acupoints into one like the 6 Tiangong points, and then he can enter the 9th point of the Longshang Bow Ruogong. The 8th level of Dragon Elephant Boruogong brings Dongwoo a survivability ability that is almost equivalent to Majin Buu's regeneration of residual bodies. What abilities will the 9th level bring? Dongwoo is still looking forward to it. Time always rushes like running water, and it has slipped away unconsciously. 1 year passed quickly. This year, Dongwoo successfully entered Super Saiyan 2, but Longshangbo Ruogong didn't seem to have made much progress. Just one step always falls short at the last minute. I won't force it anymore, just let nature take its course. Not only Dongwoo, but almost all the fighters have made great progress this year. What shocked Dongwoo the most was that Tianshan chose to go with Piccolo fusion. This is because the god Piccolo is too old, and the earth also needs strong warriors, so he fulfilled Piccolo at the last moment. With Piccolo fusion, the talent of Super Namek is restored, and the combat power has grown explosively, reaching a terrifying 2 billion, a 100-fold increase. In the original work, Piccolo merged with the divine power, and Piccolo's strength went from the million level directly to the Super Saiyan level, which was increased 100 times. I didn't expect Piccolo's fighting ability now. It can also increase prosperity 100 times. You must know that Piccolo today is much more powerful than in the original work. Although the same increase is 100 times, is $100 the same as 100 times $1 million? Dongwoo was emotional but not surprised when he found out, because both Piccolo and Tianshan almost made up for the damage caused by the split. It's no surprise that the talents returned after the merger, and both of them are more powerful than the original. Another thing that has changed the most is Klin, who has children from Pete. Colin and Marin gave birth to a daughter named Helen. It's white and tender and cute, but it's completely different from the original. To be honest, although Klin has an average appearance now, he is not ugly but definitely not handsome. But Klin has a wealthy family and strong personal strength, which adds a lot to Klin's charm. So many girls were staring at Klin, and Marin created the baby first for her own status. Of course, not only Krillin, Son Goku and Bulma's children were also born. It's a boy, also named Trunks' son. But the difference between Date and the original Trunks is that this Trunks' son's hair is black. It is said that the Bulma family has strong appearance genes, and Vegeta's children are more similar to Bulma. But in the end, Son Goku's appearance genes are stronger, and even Bulma's genes are helpless. Son Goku's crab heads are really passed down from generation to generation. Looking at Trunks, who looked almost exactly the same as Son Goku, Dongwoo was also drunk. Son Goku's crab head is really stubborn, and almost all his children have inherited his hairstyle. Oh ho ho, our little Trunks is so cute, just like Goku when he was a child. Bulma's mother, Mrs. Briff, hugged Trunks with a happy face. I recall the first time Son Goku came to my house. He was a little kid who didn't understand anything at that time. I didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, both children would have children. Mrs. Breve, who kept teasing Trunks, couldn't hide the joy and love in her eyes. Even Dr. Breve kept nodding and smiling. Being a grandparent, she was still in a good mood. HMPH, I want it too. Dong Le felt sour every time he saw Bulma and Marin holding their children. But I don't know what's going on. I've been with Dongwu for a year, and there's not even a slight movement in my stomach. It's weird if it's not sour. I went to find Dongwu when I got home. What? Why don't you just buy what you want yourself? Dongwu didn't know what was going on yet, so he thought she had fallen in love with something and asked her to buy it by herself. But, you really can't buy this. I said, I also want a baby. You see, Bulma and Marin are both pregnant, and even Lan Chi is pregnant. I want it too. Dong Le looked unhappy. Why can others have babies but not myself? Not to mention Son Gohan, the son of Chi-Chi and Son Goku. Now even Bulma and Marin's children have been born, and even their younger brothers and sisters are pregnant. But my stomach is not moving, how can I not be anxious? Dongwu, who only understood after listening to Dong Li's words, almost laughed out loud. There is no comparison with anything else, but giving birth to a child. Moreover, Dong Li's lack of pregnancy had something to do with him. He paid attention to it every time and avoided accidents. Unexpectedly, she became anxious before I was in a hurry. Humph, why are you laughing? If they can do it, so can I. Dong Le hummed unconvinced. Okay, I know. Before Dongwu could say the last word, he suddenly frowned. Turles' anger. It's just so weak and scattered, as if the candlelight may be extinguished at any time in the wind. Dongwu guessed what kind of trouble Turles was in and why he was so seriously injured. However, Dongwu still decided to save him, although Turles' anger was still fierce, indicating that this guy was still not a good person. But the fighting spirit and ruthlessness are much purer. It shows that he is no longer a bad guy who kills for the sake of killing, but can only be said to be a ruthless person. Turles' spherical small spaceship crashed onto the ground of the Earth, and then a man covered in blood climbed out of the spacecraft. Although the person who came was covered in blood, it could still be seen. The person who came here looked almost exactly the same as Son Goku except for his skin color and physical strength. Turles, why are you injured so badly? Dongwu looked at Turles who crawled out, feeling depressed, as if there was trouble again. A Super Saiyan appeared in the universe and summoned all Saiyans. After receiving the message, I also prepared to go to Saiyan. But I was intercepted halfway. If I hadn't run fast, I would have died. Turles spoke with difficulty, and almost finished speaking. I used up all my strength. Boom. Dongwu's anger suddenly exploded. Someone was actually targeting Saiyan. He asked Broly to summon Saiyan, but he just didn't want his nation to disappear. But now it seems that someone doesn't want Saiyan to reappear. Dongwu narrowed his eyes, undoubtedly angry. Dongwu originally did not choose to resurrect all Saiyans because the Saiyans on planet Vegeta were guilty of genocide and destroying the planet. Moreover, he is cruel in nature, and his resurrection will be harmful rather than helpful. But after all, Dongwu was a Chinese in his previous life, and he still valued the continuation and inheritance of the race. In ancient China, sectarianism was very serious, and there was even a tradition of passing the inheritance from male to female, and from disciple to daughter-in-law. But even so, some crafts or knowledge and abilities will also find ways to be passed on. No matter how self-respecting a person is, they will eventually choose to have disciples or children to pass on the legacy. This is the consciousness of inheritance engraved in the bones, so it can be passed down continuously in China for 5,000 years. And Dongwu also has this awareness in his heart. Nowadays, the Saiyans in the universe are summoned only for the continuation of the Saiyan race, not for power or anything else. However, now someone has destroyed this wish, which Dongwu can't bear. 4 and 6 lords. Take this fairy bean, and we'll go there again. After Dongwu finished speaking, he took out a universe spacecraft from the universal capsule. Turles, who recovered from taking celestial beans, also boarded the spacecraft, but he didn't say anything. Today, Turles has been in the universe for a long time and has seen many miracles that he has never seen before. I have a clearer understanding of my own positioning. Dongwu's outburst of anger just now made him unable to help being horrified. He has seen many masters of all kinds in the universe, but none of them can compare with Dongwu. The universe spacecraft was very fast, and it only took 3 days to encounter a pursuing universe spacecraft. Or rushed to Chili's. Is it this spaceship? Dongwu looked at the spaceship ahead, turned his head and asked Turles. Yes, this is one of them. Turles clenched his fists and gritted his teeth, the flames of hatred and anger burning brightly, and he could feel the strong anger through his tone. Okay, then let me see who it is. From the evil aura revealed in the spaceship, Dongwu knew that these people were not good people, at least no better than the original Saiyan. They are all butchers and executioners who kill countless people. Whoosh! Dongwu flew out of the spacecraft directly, came to the space and stood in front of the spacecraft. After Dongwu flew out, 3 people quickly flew out from the opposite spacecraft. Of these 3 people, one is red like a toad, the other is a strong green man, and the last one is a handsome blue man. Nez, Dre and Chaveza. Seeing the faces of the 3 people, Dongwu recognized their identities. They are members of Cooler's mecha team, universe warriors with hundreds of thousands of combat capabilities. So, Cooler was the one who intercepted Saiyan. Dongwu smiled coldly. If Cooler didn't show up, he would really be too lazy to look for him all over the world. But since he showed up on his own, destroy him. Fortunately we knew it early, otherwise other Saiyan would be in danger. Dongwu was also a little lucky. Fortunately, Turles met him earlier and his combat effectiveness was pretty good. Otherwise, when Saiyan encounters a mecha team, there is basically no possibility of escaping. Don't look at the hundreds of thousands of fighting men who are just scum in the eyes of Dongwu and even all Saiyans on Earth. But compared to other Saiyans in the universe, they are truly unmatched powerful warriors. You know, Saiyan who is low in ability to tap his potential rarely has a combat power of more than 10,000. Not to mention that most of the current universe is composed of low-level warriors, Saiyans who are not even suitable for fighting. If you encounter a mecha team, you will basically die. Fortunately, Turles was stimulated by Dongwu and has been practicing hard for so many years. Now with the impressive combat power of hundreds of thousands, it is possible to escape with serious injuries. Let's start with you first. Dongwu looked at the 3 members of the mecha team. The combat power of these 3 people, which is more than 100,000, is not bad in the universe, but it is a pity that they are not comparable to Dongwu at all. To kill them, Dongwu didn't even have to use his hands. But the 3 of them didn't know. They are used to being domineering in the universe, and they thought Dongwu was just like ordinary Saiyan, so their attitude. Chong Shu Jong. Oh ho ho. I thought there was only one trash fish, but I didn't expect there was a Saiyan monkey. Today's harvest is good, King Cooler must be very happy. Nez said with a hearty smile. In the mecha team, Chaveza has the highest IQ and Dre has the highest combat effectiveness, but Nez is indeed the cruelest. Be careful, these people are very strong. Turles shouted worriedly in the spaceship. He has fought against several people and has a very clear understanding of their fighting abilities. It's just that he doesn't know Dongwu's combat effectiveness, so he worries about Dongwu. There are not many Saiyans left now, and he doesn't want to know that Wu will die because of his carelessness. Don't worry. Dongwu turned around and smiled at Turles and said. Dongwu was quite happy to hear what Turles said. Knowing that worrying about others means that he has changed. Saiyans have never cared about others before. Even if you are a relative, you can ignore it. However, Dongwu didn't pay attention to such a small character who could be tortured to death with a backhand. Even Dongwu didn't even have the desire to fight, his combat effectiveness was too low. How are you going to die? Dongwu looked at the 3 people and said with a smile. He was not prepared to let these 3 people go, not to mention intercepting and killing Saiyan. Considering their previous sins, death would not be a pity. However, the 3 of them laughed out loud. They looked at Dongwu like a fool and laughed endlessly. Here, what did this person say? How did we die? Are you showing off your brains? We are a mecha team, the strongest team in the universe. Dre held his stomach, as if he had heard the funniest thing. Even Chaveza, who had the highest IQ, couldn't help but burst into tears from laughter. Because you are so funny, Uncle Nez will let you die quickly. After Nez finished speaking, he showed a cruel smile and his arrogance surged towards Dongwu. But Dongwu is too lazy to fight with them. They are not on the same level and it is not interesting. Disappear. Dongwu shook his head, feeling that these people really felt good about themselves. He raised his hand and fired a key blast, hitting the three of them in the universe spaceship behind them. Boom. The three people, together with the spacecraft behind them, disappeared in a burst of explosions. There was nothing left except a brilliant ball of fireworks. Okay, so strong. Dongwu didn't care, but when the spaceship remembered Turles, he opened his mouth in shock. He thought that his combat power of more than 100,000 was already very strong, far more than everyone in Planet Vegeta's before. But after seeing Dongwu's battle, he realized that Saiyan could be so strong. Aside from the legendary Saiyan, can Saiyan be so strong? According to Turles, the strongest Saiyan is the legendary Super Saiyan. As for the General Saiyan, although they are a fighting nation, their strength is not bad. But Hubin only has about 10,000 combat experience. Now, Dongwu has overturned his perception. After solving the mecha team, Dongwu returned to the spaceship with Turles' stunned eyes. Ignoring Turles' shock, he smiled and controlled the spacecraft again to fly towards the new Saiyan star. Turles has been in shock, sitting on the spaceship a little dull. He knew that Dongwu was very strong, much stronger than him. But he never thought that he could easily destroy the mecha team. He has a fighting strength of 112,000, but he can barely survive in the hands of the mecha team, mainly because he can escape quickly. In his opinion, Dongwu's combat effectiveness is only slightly stronger than that of the mecha team. But I didn't expect that he would be so strong. Okay Turles, tell me the locations of the other spaceships, and we'll go meet them. Dongwu looked back at Turles and said. Dongwu didn't have a good opinion of Turles at first. Because this person in the original work can be said to always want to take advantage of others. Enhancing combat effectiveness depends entirely on the fruits of the spirit tree, without practicing hard. So he didn't think much of Das. He spared him in the first place just because he was a Saiyan, and he didn't kill him for the sake of the continuation of the Saiyan race. But I didn't expect that this guy was really tenacious. Knowing that training was useful, he actually cultivated to a combat power of more than 100,000 on his own. Breaking through 100,000 combat power, with the qualifications of a Turles lower-level warrior. In the next period of time, it is time to enter the explosive period of combat effectiveness, and the growth rate will be very fast. It can be said that if Turles comes back after a while, the mecha team feels that they will not be Turles' opponent. Even now, after recovering from serious injuries, Turles' combat strength has reached 160,000. It's just that he was always nervous and didn't notice it, and he didn't know how to sense anger so he didn't notice it. The spaceship moved forward quickly under the guidance of Turles. A week later, a large group of spaceships appeared in Dongwu's sight. The most eye-catching one is a disc-shaped spaceship that looks like a crab. It looks exactly like Frieza's spaceship in the original work. Looking at the shape of the spacecraft, Dongwu was sure that the real owner had been found. But what makes Dongwu curious is that there is a battle going on here at this time. Moreover, the fighting situation was quite fierce and the combat effectiveness was not low. I didn't expect that Vegeta's combat power has improved so much. Who is the other Saiyan master? Dongwu recognized that one of them was Vegeta by sensing chi. The other one was also Saiyan, but he had never seen him this angry before. The two men were currently fighting another powerful man. Controlling the spaceship, he quickly approached the battlefield, and the battle scene came into Wu's eyes. It turned out to be Vegeta and Raditz. I didn't expect Raditz to be so strong. The scene was unexpected by Dongwu. He originally thought it was a strange Saiyan, but he didn't expect it to be Raditz. You must know that when Raditz left the Earth, he only had a fighting strength of more than 1,000. In just over 2 years, Raditz has a combat power of millions. And Vegeta is terrifying, he has turned into a Super Saiyan. However, the two people did not have the upper hand. To be precise, they were at a disadvantage. Raditz's combat power of millions means he basically has no chance to intervene and can only act as a harasser on one side. Vegeta was basically holding on for the entire battle. However, facing Cooler, who has released his full form, Vegeta, who has transformed into Super Saiyan, is still at a disadvantage. And Raditz didn't last long. He was caught in the neutral position by Cooler, and lost his combat experience with a daily attack. In fact, Dongwu still admires Cooler very much. He is somewhat similar to Son Goku in that he does not have extraordinary talents. He is not a mutated frozen demon like Frieza and King Cold. However, with his own hard work and talent, he actually developed a higher level transformation of the frozen demon, abruptly increasing his combat power to the point where he surpassed Frieza and caught up with Kurd. Cooler, I, Vegeta, will not lose to you. Vegeta roared, releasing powerful Super Saiyan momentum layer by layer, and the momentum continued to impact the starry sky. The entire planet trembled under his arrogance. Is this the so-called Super Saiyan? It's not that big of a deal. It seems that our ancestors exaggerated a bit. Oh ho ho. Cooler looked at Vegeta with a disgusting laugh. Really? Then see if my strength can catch your eye. Just when Cooler was proud, a green-haired Saiyan rushed into the scene. Boom. One move, just one move. Puff. Cooler's proud expression was frozen on his face, with a look of disbelief and fear, and he was punched until he vomited blood. Brawly, here we come. This is because he was merciful and did not strike hard. Otherwise, with Brawly's fighting power, it only takes one punch to send him directly to meet his tribe. How dare you look down on Super Saiyan with this little strength? Brawly spat disdainfully, not caring about Cooler at all. With Brawly's current combat power of nearly 30 billion, Cooler's combat power of more than 400 million is almost nothing. You too, Saiyan. Cooler opened his mouth and spit out another mouthful of blood, gritted his teeth and asked with hatred. Although it was a question, I actually basically confirmed it. Yes, I am also a Saiyan. According to Saiyan legend, I am the legendary Super Saiyan who comes out once in 1,000 years. Brawly confirmed Cooler's question and said calmly. The legendary Super Saiyan. Cooler muttered ugly to himself, a trace of fear creeping onto his face. Don't be afraid, I won't take action again, because squeezing you to death is no different to me than squeezing an ant to death. As long as you can defeat Vegeta, I will let you go. Brawly said calmly. Not far away, Turles was also in a mess. He felt that the whole world had deceived him. How come there are so many masters in Saiyan? Planet Vegeta used to have hundreds of thousands of Saiyans. In total, there is not a decent master. But the Saiyans now living in the universe are just 3 or 2 big cats and kittens. It's hard to say whether there are 1,000 people alive now, but there are so many masters. Is God kidding me? As for Dongwu, he kept nodding and smiling. Because he found that now Brawly not only has clear thinking, but is also mentally normal. Moreover, he has quite a leadership style and his combat effectiveness has also improved a lot. How dare you look down on me? I will make you pay the price. Cooler felt humiliated, but he knew that he was really no match for Brawly. So, he aimed Twilight at Vegeta. As long as Vegeta is defeated, he can leave. As long as you are alive, there is hope. Unfortunately, he didn't know that he was destined to not be able to leave today. Even if Brawly lets him go, Dongwu will not keep this scourge and threat. This person will not only harm the universe, but also pose a great threat to ordinary Saiyan. Except for a few people, any Saiyan who meets Cooler will definitely be crushed to death like a bug. It's so shameful. I regret it so much. If I had known that Saiyan could become so strong, I shouldn't have let any Saiyan go. Cooler was full of regret. He was there when Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta and wiped out the Saiyan clan. Some Saiyan babies were sent out, but he pretended not to see them. He was so confident and proud that he got into trouble today. Even Vegeta, who was like Frieza's slave, is now close to my strength. I hate it. Fortunately, there was no regret pill, otherwise Cooler would have taken 10,000 of it. I'm Vegeta, I'm Saiyan's prince. Whether it's Frieza or Cooler, I will defeat you. Vegeta transformed into Super Saiyan and was attacked head-on in his high spirits. He failed to defeat Cooler in the battle, which is an insult to Super Saiyan, who is known as the strongest warrior in the universe. Vegeta's heart is also full of hatred, and he will never allow himself to fail. When he was defeated by Dongwu, he practiced like crazy. Later, he was defeated by Kakarot on Earth and was saved by a woman. He practiced harder. Later he finally became Super Saiyan and he was full of energy. Finally becoming the strongest warrior in the legend, he thought he would be invincible from now on. However, the legendary Super Saiyan appears in the universe, and all Saiyans in the universe must be summoned to rebuild the Saiyan nation. So here comes Vegeta. He is the Saiyan Prince, and he wants to defeat this legendary Super Saiyan and prove that only he, Vegeta, is qualified to rebuild the Saiyan nation. But he was hit with 10,000 points of damage 880 times. Not to mention the legendary Super Saiyan, not even Cooler could defeat him. He was unwilling to do so, and his pride would not allow this to happen. Cooler, you die. Vegeta rushed towards Cooler, bearing down on Prince Saiyan's pride. He would never allow failure. Cooler was not to be outdone. Although he was injured by Broly, it was not serious. This injury does not affect the performance of his strength. You are just a dog under Frieza, how dare you challenge me? Cooler's words deeply stimulated Vegeta, making Vegeta even more angry. Boom! Cooler and Vegeta collided with each other, and this time Vegeta and Cooler, in a rage, fought evenly. Saiyan's combat effectiveness is enhanced and improved under extreme anger. In the original work, whether it is Son Goku, Son Gohan, Vegeta or Broly, when angry, combat power will increase to varying degrees, the most obvious of which is Son Gohan. And today's Vegeta is obviously no exception. Boom boom boom. Vegeta and Cooler started a fierce battle, and everyone around them stayed away, fearing that they would be accidentally injured in the aftermath of the battle. Broly, bring Raditz over here. Seeing that everyone's attention was on Vegeta and Cooler, Raditz was lying on the ground dying. Dongwu had to ask Broly to bring Raditz over, because others could not get through at all and would be torn apart by the aftermath of the battle between Cooler and Vegeta. Dongwu, you're here, wait a minute. Broly quickly entered the battlefield, startling Cooler and thinking that Broly was not keeping his word and was going to take action against him. When he saw that Broly just took away the trash he had just defeated, Cooler breathed a sigh of relief and concentrated on fighting Vegeta. He could see that this legendary Super Saiyan was more proud than himself and did not bother to break his promise. Dongwu, Raditz is dying. Send him to the recuperation warehouse. Broly brought Raditz over and handed it over to Dongwu, saying with some embarrassment. But he was at the scene, and Raditz was injured by Cooler, which was indeed a bit embarrassing. Need not. Dongwu waved his hand, took out a fairy bean and handed it to Turles, asking him to feed it to Raditz. To be honest, it was beyond his expectation that Raditz could have such fighting power. Including Turles, he saw clearly that he underestimated the Saiyan nation. Anyone who is a Saiyan warrior has an unusual persistence and pursuit of strength. Even Saiyan who doesn't like fighting wants to become stronger. Raditz and Turles are good proofs. They are considered trash by other Saiyans, CGFD, low-level warriors. But when they see Super Hope, they still choose to surpass themselves without hesitation. Because Turles has low talent and no one to teach him, his combat effectiveness does not increase very quickly. But Raditz is terrifying. In more than 2 years, his combat power has increased from more than 1,000 to 1,000,000 levels. It is definitely not just cultivation. I must have experienced a lot of life and death crises and walked on the edge of death many times. Boom. Raditz recovered immediately after eating the fairy beans, and powerful fighting power erupted from his body. The tyrannical momentum is like the turbulent waves of the tide. What a powerful force. Turles looked at Raditz with envy, wondering when I would be so strong. Yes, after recovering from serious injuries and near death, his strength has increased a lot. Dongwu looked at Raditz, who was soaring, and nodded with satisfaction. After recovering from serious injuries this time, Raditz's combat power increased from 1 million to 1.5 million. It seems that not everyone can recover exponentially from serious injuries and near death. There is no need to be envious of Turles, as long as he works hard to practice. He is too advanced to say that he still has the potential to transform into Super Saiyan. Dongwu looked at Turles, who was full of envy and comforted with a smile. I won't be worse than anyone else. Turles calmed down and said with a confident smile. At this moment, Dongwu noticed that Turles's momentum had changed. A kind of temperament called confidence appeared in him. Including his aura, the cruelty began to fade away. Not bad. Dongwu nodded in his heart, it was this Saiyan nation he wanted. Never admit defeat and always persist. He doesn't need the cruel Saiyan, he doesn't need the Saiyan to conquer the city. All he needs is a confident and enterprising Saiyan and the preservation of the inheritance of the Xia nation. Cooler, I won't admit defeat. After recovering, Raditz will enter the battlefield again as soon as his breath rises. But was stopped by Dongwu. What are you doing? Raditz asked in confusion. You have been partnering with Vegeta for so many years, don't you know his temper? He will never allow you to interfere in his battles again. This is his pride as Saiyan and Saiyan Prince. Dongwu shook his head. Let Raditz be patient. Raditz opened his mouth, but finally didn't move. On the other side, the battle between Vegeta and Cooler has become intense. The battle between their respective strengths and unique moves is in full swing. Both sides have tried their best to win this battle. Vegeta put all his pride on the line and would never admit defeat. Cooler gambled his life, and this battle was related to his life and death. If you win, you can leave. If you fail, you will die. Therefore, he has more reasons not to fail. Drink, Cooler, take the move. I must repay 100 times the shame you frozen demons have given me. Vegeta roared, and condensed a golden ki blast with lightning in his hands. Drink, try the flash distance. Boom, Vegeta's ki blast went straight towards Cooler, and the powerful destructive power made Cooler's face change. HMPH, Supernova Explosion Bomb. Cooler gritted his teeth and gathered all his strength to fight Vegeta. The battle between Vegeta and Cooler destroyed the planet that no one had set foot on for many years. The earth cracked and seawater poured in. The ground was full of potholes, and the sky was covered with lightning, thunder, and dark clouds, creating an apocalyptic scene. Vegeta bets his pride on a battle. Cooler's resistance is about life. In this battle, there is no retreat, only victory or defeat. Cooler, go to hell. Vegeta's ultimate flash cannon is his strongest trick, and this time he tried his best just to prove himself. I must be the winner, Vegeta, please wake up. Cooler also used his own trick, the Supernova Explosive Bomb. This is a trick that all the frozen demons know, and it is also the most powerful trick. He did everything he could to survive. Boom, the two Qigong bombs came into contact and sent out a terrible shock wave. Everything between them disappeared without a trace in an instant. Crush, annihilate. There is a certain gap in the fighting power between Vegeta and Cooler, but Vegeta risked everything in the fight to make him and Cooler pick up each other. In fact, in the Dragon Ball anime, people summarized several points. 1. Never argue with family members. 2. Don't fight Saiyan. There is also a joke that the output of the two Dragon Balls depends entirely on roaring. Although these are just jokes by netizens, they also reflect one thing from the side, that is, Saiyan is very strong in the opposite wave. Even if the combat power is slightly weaker, it can still have an advantage in the wave. However, Vegeta is not so relaxed this time. Cooler has a combat power of 470 million, while Vegeta only has a little over 400 million. The difference in combat effectiveness exceeds 10%, and the gap between the two sides is still quite large. As mentioned in the previous article, in the Dragon Ball world, a player with a 10% difference in combat effectiveness can gain an absolute upper hand. If it exceeds 30%, it will be crushed, and if it exceeds 100%, it will be an instant kill. Now Cooler's combat power exceeds Vegeta's by more than 10%, and Vegeta only relies on one breath to forcibly increase his combat power. His pride and anger allowed him to fight without much disadvantage. Even so, Vegeta's strongest trick failed to gain an advantage in the battle. It just maintained an unbeatable stalemate. Vegeta has a good talent, and he is indeed the pride of King Vegeta. Broly looked at Vegeta, who was struggling, nodded and acknowledged Vegeta's talent. In contrast, Dongwu is also more recognized. In the original work, although Vegeta was the second in command for 1,000 years, he was never far away from Son Goku. This is because he has always lost to Son Goku, so he has been following Son Goku's footsteps and has not been able to completely follow his own relationship. Dongwu believes that if Vegeta walks out of his own way, he will not be much worse than Son Goku, even if he is better than him. Vegeta has his perseverance and pride, so Yaxing may not be in peace in the future. Dongwu smiled slightly, but he was not very worried. First, Vegeta will not attack the Saiyan star. He will only challenge Saiyan through Broly first. Second, Broly is more talented than Vegeta, so what is there to worry about? Besides, don't you still have yourself, Dongla and Son Goku? Vegeta, it's more suitable to be his tragedy tower. Vegeta, who had been unable to attack for a long time, once again forcibly raised his energy, and his muscles swelled in a circle. This is the state that Trunks used when fighting Cell, giving up speed in exchange for powerful power. Dongwoo's glasses lit up. This move may not be useful in battle, but it is definitely a good choice against waves. What made him even more unexpected was that Vegeta had broken through to this point so quickly, the third stage of Super Saiyan 1. Although this is a failed transformation, it is undeniable that this is more advanced than the normal Super Saiyan transformation. If Vegeta continues to work hard to transform into full power, then Super 2 can be expected. Cooler, go to hell. Vegeta roared, and the powerful Ki blast began to move quickly towards Cooler. What? How is it possible? How could your power increase again? I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Cooler roared, his eyes filled with disbelief. This is too bullying, Saiyan's quick death is too unreasonable. But there is no way, Saiyan is a cheating nation. In the original work, from Son Goku to Son Gohan and Son Goten, plus Vegeta and Trunks, there is no one who is not cheating. And each one is more powerful than the other. Boom, puff. However, just when Ki Blast was about to hit Cooler, all the muscles in Vegeta's body suddenly burst, and a large amount of blood spurted out like a nozzle. Vegeta is such a fool. He forcibly increased his fighting power at the expense of his body's collapse, turning into a form that he cannot control. If this continues, he will be disabled even if he wins. Looking at Vegeta's state, Broly frowned a little. He said with an ugly expression. He has now accepted new ideas from Dongwu and has a completely new concept of race. Vegeta is a genius among Saiyans, and he doesn't want Vegeta to be ruined. Don't worry, he won't be crippled. Dongwu waved his hand. With such things as fairy beans, he wasn't worried that Vegeta couldn't be cured. Vegeta is the second male lead in the original work, and later on he became a peerless good man. How could Dongwu let him be crippled? If he really crippled Vegeta, I guess many book friends would scold the author, right? Oh, ha ha ha, Vegeta, you are really looking for death. Your body is about to collapse. What are you going to fight with me for? Not only Dongwu saw Vegeta's miserable appearance, but everyone present saw it, including Cooler. Seeing Vegeta's body covered in blood and his muscles collapsing, he laughed happily. Just now I was worried that I would be defeated and killed by Vegeta. But now it seems that Vegeta, who was originally unable to defeat easily, is really looking for death. If this continues, Vegeta will kill himself without taking any action. It's a pity that he will never know that Dongwu has such a bug-like thing as fairy beans. HMPH, don't be proud. Even if I die, I will kill you. Prove it to everyone for me and Saiyan. This is Vegeta, this is the proud prince. He can die in battle, but he will never allow defeat. He wants to prove to everyone that he is still the genius among Saiyan, the much-anticipated Saiyan prince. 0. Go to hell Cooler. Puff puff. Vegeta forced himself to hold back the pain and increased his intensity again. The result is that Vegeta has more wounds and bleeds faster. But he did it, he proved himself. Ki Blast successfully bombarded Cooler's body. Ah, I'm not willing to. Cooler was crushed by Ki Blast with unwillingness and anger. All that was left was a scream. Hee hee, Cooler, in the end, I, King Vegeta, won. Vegeta watched Cooler being crushed and grinned happily. He doesn't care about his own injuries and can only be happy to dispel his resentment. Vegeta, it's you. As a comrade, Raditz was the first to applaud him. Vegeta glanced back at Raditz, then fell straight down. This is a true warrior, a proud warrior. Vegeta fell down while standing, covered in blood, like a bloody man. When Raditz came over with Vegeta on his shoulders, Dongwu couldn't help but look sideways. It was so miserable, there was almost no good muscle in the whole body, all of them were torn. If it were an ordinary person, he would probably be dead. Even if it were placed on Saiyan Vegeta, who has tenacious vitality, he would not survive if no one saves him. But this is his choice. Dongwu has no other thoughts except admiration. The only thought may be to save him. He took out a fairy bean and gave it to Vegeta, and Vegeta's injuries healed almost instantly. The horrific wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. You saved me, Vegeta asked with certainty, but there was not much fluctuation in his words, because he knew that Dongwu had a bean that could quickly heal wounds. Vegeta, you are very good. You and Kakarot are both unyielding warriors. You have proved your dignity as Prince Saiyan with your actions. Dongwu smiled slightly and said to Vegeta. Very well, in that case, can I challenge you? Vegeta stared at Dongwu. The first defeat in his life was against Dongwu. For more than 20 years, he always remembered that his greatest wish was to defeat Dongwu. Vegeta, you are not strong enough to challenge me now. You will have to wait until you surpass Super Saiyan. Dongwu did not agree to Vegeta's challenge because the gap between the two was too big. Not to mention now, even if Vegeta surpasses Super Saiyan and becomes Super Saiyan 2, he is still no match for Dongwu. Because, Dongwu has already reached the second level. And whether it's basic combat power or the increase in transformation, Dongwu completely crushes Vegeta. However, Vegeta must always be given a goal to chase, otherwise people will easily get lost if they cannot see hope and the way forward. Beyond Super Saiyan, Vegeta muttered to himself, clenching his hands tightly, then taking a deep breath and releasing them. I will surpass Super Saiyan and surpass you. Then I will defeat you in an upright manner. After Vegeta finished speaking, he left without looking back. Hey, Vegeta, you can challenge Kakarot and Broly when you have time. When you surpass them, you will be qualified to be my opponent. Dongwu smiled evilly and said to Vegeta's back. Vegeta paused slightly, paused for a moment without saying anything, and then walked towards his own universe spaceship. Now we have a good show. I wonder if Broly and Son Goku will be bored to death. Broly Dongwu doesn't know, but Dongwu thinks that Son Goku probably won't. On the contrary, he will be very happy to have an opponent to compete with. However, it is also good to let them compete with each other and promote each other. Broly, how is the Saiyan gathering now? After Vegeta left, Dongwu turned around and asked Broly. About 600 Saiyans have gathered now, and others are coming one after another. However, I was not paying attention in the past few days, and let Cooler and his team kill dozens of Saiyans. When Broly said this, he clenched his fists with a look of hatred and annoyance on his face. You must know that these people only came after receiving news from him. However, he died on the way, how could he not feel guilty and regretful? But Dongwu didn't blame him, this was something no one expected. Who would have thought that the Frozen clan who were afraid of Super Saiyan would dare to commit crimes under the eyes of Chuan Chao Saiyan? Even Dongwu didn't think of it. Okay, I will find a way. You continue to gather the remaining Saiyan, but you must ensure it. Saiyan is not a butcher, but a warrior. Dongwu emphasized the Saiyan spirit to Broly again, and then left a martial arts teaching video. I'm leaving. Dongwu put away the universe spaceship and returned to Earth via instant transmission. Broly had people destroy the invaders brought by Cooler, and then took Turles and Raditz back to the current Saiyan planet. The universe seemed to calm down, but Dongwu knew that this calm could not last long. Not to mention the androids that were about to arrive, Dongwu felt as if Frieza was hiding around him. However, I don't know where exactly it is. Son Goku did not kill Frieza. With Frieza's powerful vitality, he may not necessarily die. Dongwu has a feeling that Frieza will surprise everyone when he appears again. However, Dongwu didn't care. As long as you are strong enough, what will happen no matter how powerful Frieza is? Therefore, the most important thing is your own strength. The world of Dragon Ball is not a peaceful world, the universe is full of dangers. There is murderous intent everywhere, and there are unexpected dangers everywhere. Only if you are strong enough and can cope with all challenges can you ensure that you will not die at any time. The Dragon Elephant Boruo Gong has reached the peak of the 8th level and the edge of the 9th level. Now let's break through in one go. Dongwu began to practice the Longxiang Boruo Gong, trying hard to control the earthly evil acupuncture points to form a hole. In fact, Dongwu has made many attempts. It will go relatively smoothly in the beginning, but always fall short at the last moment, as the last one or two acupuncture points cannot be connected. This time I will try to use the Dantian as a link to see if I can reconcile the conflict. Dongwu did it as soon as he thought of it, and began to try to mobilize the Dantian. The power from all the acupuncture points passed through the Dantian and then led to other acupoints. In fact, when the Tiangong acupuncture point is perfect, Dongwu uses the Dantian as a buffer and reconciliation. But the 3 Dantians have been used by Tiangong acupoints, and he has never tried this aspect. But when other methods failed, Dongwu decided to take the risk and try it. Anyway, with fairy beans, you can't die no matter how you play. But surprisingly, it went very smoothly. The 3 dantians are easily connected to all the Disha acupuncture points. However, this is not yet a success, because although the dantian is connected to all the Disha acupoints, the 207 Disha acupuncture points are not connected to each other. This is an extremely complex process, similar to the way of permutation and combination, extremely complicated. Fortunately, Dongwu has tried it many times and is familiar with it. I don't know how long it took, because there is no concept of time in the world of thought. When the last acupuncture point was completely connected, Dongwu felt a wave of energy all over his body, and a strong vitality began to emanate from his body, with an aura of youth. This breakthrough did not have as strong a reaction as breaking through the 8th level. The entire body was shattered and reorganized. But the changes brought about are even worse. God's destiny, the landowner's longevity. Dongwu understood in an instant the meaning of Tiangong Disha. Tiangong governs life. Tiangong is perfect and has extremely strong vitality, and is almost immortal. The lifespan of the Earth Evil Master will be greatly extended. Dongwu doesn't know the specific amount. Anyway, he knows that his lifespan will be greatly extended. The 9th level of Longxiang Boruo Gong did not bring much improvement to Dongwu's combat effectiveness. It only doubled the physical quality in all aspects. But the overall benefits to Dongwu are immeasurable. Just the increase in lifespan is endless. We must know how many people throughout the ages are doing whatever it takes for longevity and longevity. But in the end it was all in vain, and few people really achieved immortality. Although no one in China can really live forever, there are still many people who live long through various methods. But in the Dragon Ball world, your lifespan is determined by your race when you were born. Unless you make a wish through the Dragon Ball, it is almost impossible to improve. No matter how strong your fighting power is, it's useless. However, Dongwu, who is now in the world of Dragon Ball, has his lifespan extended because of the Dragon Elephant Bo Ruo Gong. Is this a small benefit? After settling your own affairs, it's time to settle Saiyan's affairs. Saiyan killed by Cooler, use Dragon Ball to resurrect him. This is what Dongwu promised Broly, so he must keep his promise. Besides, this is not difficult for Dongwu. Now that Today has been installed as a god, the Dragon Ball can finally be used. The main reason why Dongwu did not immediately resurrect Saiyan who was killed by Cooler was because Piccolo and the old god were restored to one person, and Tiantian had not yet assumed the role of god. Dragon Ball couldn't be used at all, so Dongwu had to practice while waiting. Now, Tiantian has finally become a god, and the Dragon Ball can also be used. Dongwu naturally wants to resurrect Saiyan who was killed by Cooler to fulfill his promise. Although it seems easy to become a god in the original work, in fact, how can the inheritance of a god be so simple? Although it is only the lowest level of god, the complexity of the inheritance is mind-numbing. The procedures alone are a headache, let alone the inheritance of skills and responsibilities. It took me a full year of studying every day to become a qualified god. If Dragon Ball can be used, it's easy. With a wish, Saiyan who was killed by Cooler came back to life. However, a few days after Dongwu resurrected Saiyan, who was killed by Cooler, 2 unexpected visitors broke Dongwu's peaceful life. Why are they coming out now? Looking at the 2 people in front of him, Dongwu frowned. It stands to reason that one of the 2 people in front of me will appear in the Majin Buu chapter, and the other is a character that only appears in the game, Dragon Ball Super Universe, and the time of appearance is not at this time. Hello Saiyan Dongwu, I am Dapora, the king of the demon world, and this is my sister Tawa. Yes, these 2 people are Dapora, the king of the demon world, CGDC, and his sister Tawa. Dapora is the king of the demon world and is the strongest subordinate of the magician Babidi in the Majin Buu chapter. As for Tova, she does not appear in either the original work or the theatrical version. She is a character in the game Dragon Ball Super Universe. In her story introduction, she devoted herself to the research of artificial people in time and space after Dapra's death. Mira was finally created and given the ability to travel through time and space. However, they should be in the demon world now, and should not appear in the universe now. Why did you come to see me? Although he couldn't figure out the other party's intention, of course Dongwu had no fear of them. Take Dapora for example, his combat power is at best similar to Supreme Kai, at the level of Super Saiyan 2. And Tova is a magician, but her fighting ability is not strong. We came here to ask for your help. Dapra is quite direct and straightforward. As the king of the demon world, he has his own unique vision. He believes that it is better to tell the truth to Dongwu than to lie. Ask for my help. You, the king of the demon world, can't deal with this. How can I help you? Dongwu was curious. Dapra was the king of the demon world. If you want power, you have power, and if you want strength, it's not bad. At least, there are not many who can surpass him in combat effectiveness. In addition, there is a sister with unpredictable magic. What kind of trouble can he have to ask for? To be honest, Tova and I have been on the run for 3 years. Finally, we heard about your power in the universe and wanted to seek your help. Tova stood next to Dapra, her beautiful little face more serious than ever, and sadness. Think about it, the majestic king of the demon world and the princess of the demon world. How oppressive does it feel to be hunted for 3 years like a lost dog but unable to resist? To get to the point, who is going to hunt you down? Why are they hunting you down? Dongwu didn't mean to help them, but was just curious about the people who rounded them up. It's not just any ordinary character that can make Dapra escape in a panic, even Supreme Kai doesn't have this ability. His name is Babidi, and he possesses extremely powerful dark magic. Even Tova's magic cannot compare with him. Dapra looked angry, but also helpless. If you are not as strong as others, what can you say? Babidi, I have heard of this person. But he is almost useless except for magic. It should be easy for you to kill him, right? Dongwu asked doubtfully. Yes, if there was only him, or him and his men, I could kill them all without any effort. But, there is a terrifyingly powerful woman behind him, and I am no match for her. When Pula mentioned this woman, she looked frightened, as if she had encountered something extremely terrible. Dongwu became serious. What kind of woman could make the powerful Dapra so scared? Dongwu recalled all the original Dragon Ball books and the theatrical version he had watched, but it seemed that there was no such woman. Who is the one? Dongwu does not suspect that Dapra lied to him, because it is easy to reveal the truth. But Dongwu really couldn't think of any woman with such strength. What are her characteristics? Dongwu decided to ask clearly. After all, Dapra is not an easy person to deal with. It is probably not an easy role to force him to such a point. This woman wears pink clothes all year round and has a lock of white hair on her head. Dapra briefly described the woman's appearance, but Tong Wucheng stood up coldly. West King Kai Layla. That's right, Dongwu finally remembered that someone was a god. To be precise, that was West King Kai Layla. Lyra only appears once in Dragon Balls, through the mouth of East King Kai Ah Shin. He was the first Supreme Kai to be killed by Majin Buu. However, in the non-fan artistic Dragon Ball plot drawn by European and American Dragon Ball enthusiasts, he appears with another identity. She did not die in the battle with Majin Buu, but was seriously injured and wandered in the universe for millions of years, and was later rescued. She is the wife of Kurd and the mother of Frieza, Cooler and Jai Ko. He has the ambition to rule the world and becomes evil. However, this character is not even the theatrical version. They are just characters created by anime fans, not even human beings. Did it actually appear? Then it all makes sense. Why is a person as powerful as Dapra controlled by a waste like Babidi in the original work? It turns out that he has the support of West King Kai Layla. Originally, there were 5 major Supreme Kais in the Supreme Kai world, including the Southeast, Northwest, and Major Supreme Kai. Among the 5 Supreme Kais, East King Kai is the weakest, and the strongest is South King Kai. But then Majin Buu appeared and destroyed a large part of the universe into a desperate situation. Supreme Kai went to fight for the mission, and as a result, 4 Supreme Kai died, leaving only East King Kai. And West King Kai Layla was the first to die in battle. But I didn't expect that she actually didn't die. However, even so, Dongwu had no reason to help Dapra. As a demon king, he is not a good person. Coupled with Tao's future behavior, it can be said that Dongwu even wanted to kill these 2 people directly. I basically believe what you said, but I won't help you. He would do it to destroy Babidi and West King Kai, but not for the 2 of Dapra. It would be better if they died, so as not to cause harm to the world. Why, we have worked so hard to get here, and you just refuse to save us. Tao said excitedly. But her words made Dongwu sneer. People like Taoa just think that others should help her, as a matter of course. Maybe it has something to do with the character she has developed as a princess since she was a child. However, this is not the reason why others have to help her. Dapra pulled Tova behind him, preventing her from talking any more. Dapra, as the devil, is a person who has been through mountains of swords and seas of fire. He knows that if you want to get help, you have to pay a corresponding price. What do you want? Dapora asked in a deep voice. Did you see? Your brother is the smart one. Don't ask others why, but ask yourself why. If you want to get, you must give first. Don't you understand this? Dongwu mocked Taoa. Road. But then Dongwu changed the subject. Even so, I won't help you, because you are not good people either. Dapora, the king of the demon world, has a lot of innocent blood on your hands, right? My hands are full of bones, but those are the survival rules of the demon world. If I don't kill them, they will kill me. In order to survive, I have to kill. Dapra said solemnly. But it can be heard that he is also a little angry. When has he ever been so aggrieved? He feels like Sun Tzu now. As the king of the demon world, when has he ever been interrogated like this and explained to others like this? But now I have someone to ask for, so I have to put down my dignity. My fists tightened again and again, and finally I took a deep breath and unclenched my fists. Seeing Dapora clenching his fists, Dongwu really hoped that he would take action. Then he killed him by himself to avoid future troubles. However, Dongwu understood the meaning behind his words. First, he only killed people to survive. In a chaotic place like the demon world, if you don't kill me, I will kill you. It can be said that there are no innocent lives in the devil world. 2. He has never been to the earthly world, and has never killed anyone in the earthly world. Dongwu also believes in this. After all, in the original work, before he was controlled by Babidi, Dapra had never been heard of. Even East King Kai never said he had any evil deeds in the universe. However, not everyone can be impressed by Dongwu. He is kind, but more decisive. Those who deserve to be killed will never procrastinate, and those who deserve to be killed will never be merciless. As for helping, that depends on the person. Dongwu was about to refuse when he suddenly felt an evil, yet sacred, and holy aura full of darkness coming straight to the earth. There were 3 breaths next to her, one was pitifully weak, and the other 2 were slightly weaker than Frieza. Is it coming so soon? West King Kai is really not easy. Now that she is here, Dongwu will not let her do whatever she wants. Although she is Supreme Kai, since she has fallen into evil, she can only be sent to see King Yama. Dongwu snorted coldly, and the aura on his body soared into the sky without any reservation, and he flew straight out of the earth. Dapra and Tova looked at each other and flew over. They have been on the run for 3 years and have been living like bereft dogs for 3 years. You cannot stay for more than half a day at a time, otherwise you will be overtaken by this woman. You can imagine what life is like for 2 people and how they persisted in the past 3 years. If it weren't for Dapora's strong will, the 2 of them might not have survived long ago. Now, they don't want to escape. Since the other party won't let them go, let's fight in an upright manner. Dongwu is waiting in space outside the Earth, quietly waiting for the arrival of West King Kai. Although she hasn't seen anyone yet, her aura has already betrayed her. Only God has the aura of holiness, and the presence of evil in holiness shows that this God has fallen. The only one who matches the strength and identity is West King Kai Layla. Layla didn't let Dongwu wait long, and soon a rocket-like spacecraft quickly approached the Earth and Dongwu. Dongwu snorted coldly, and a Qigong bomb slowly took shape in his hand. Boom! Smashing the light-killing cannon, Dongwu hit the spacecraft directly. But Dongwu underestimated Layla, or her reaction speed. Dongwu, who has not transformed, has a normal strength of only about 1 billion. Obviously not as good as West King Kai Layla. Although she was caught by surprise, she was still blocked by Layla flying out of the spaceship. After the smoke and dust cleared, a woman with standard Supreme Kai hairstyle and makeup appeared in front of Dongwu. West King Kai Layla, you are indeed not dead, Dongwu said in a deep voice with narrowed eyes. Although it was confirmed before, I was still shocked when I saw the real person. Supreme Kai, the most sacred and righteous representative of the universe, controls the power of creation. However, How ironic is it that justice has degenerated into evil? Oh, I didn't expect you actually knew me. Logically speaking, Layla, the West King Kai of your time and space, should have been dead for millions of years. How did you recognize me? Layla smoothed her hair and asked in surprise and curiosity. Our time and space. Are you not the West King Kai Layla of this time and space? Dongwu was shocked, because people from different time and space generally cannot enter other time and space. People like Trunks will be punished if they are discovered. How did you do it? Dongwu knew that neither East King Kai nor Shin had this ability. As a mortal who knows me, I can satisfy your curiosity. To answer your first question, I am indeed not the West King Kai Layla of this time and space. I come from the fragmented universe, Layla said with a charming smile. As for how I did it, that has to do with the responsibilities of our Supreme Kai. The Supreme Kai all have time and space rings in different time and space in the same universe. Do you understand now? Layla looked very proud and smiled extremely, of sweetness. If you don't know, you will just think that she is a charming woman. But who knew she would be an evil god, filled with the desire to rule the universe? Fragment universe. Dongwu understands and understands the other ones. But Dongwu doesn't quite understand the fragmented universe. He only knows the parallel universe. For example, Big Trunks comes from a parallel universe. Oh, it seems you don't quite understand. Also, how can a mortal understand the knowledge of God? Layla said proudly. But at this time, Dapra flew over with Tawa, and he opened his mouth to answer Dongwu's question. The fragmented universe is incomplete, an independent universe that is not attached to the original universe. Independence is between the original universe and the parallel space of the original universe, outside. As the king of the demon world, Dapura also knows this knowledge. After Dapura's explanation, Dongwu understood. Take the seventh universe as an example. It has the original universe and the parallel time and space that appeared due to different developments. These parallel time and spaces together with the original universe form a complete seventh universe. But outside of the complete seventh universe, there are also some incomplete fragmented universes. These fragmented universes are related to the complete universe, but are not included in the cause of the seventh universe. I see, then you use the time and space ring of your fragmented universe to come to the seventh universe. Then you married Kurd, Frieza, and Cooler are all your children. Dongwu also finally understood why the Kurds mutated. You must know that the frozen demon has a very long history, but it has never mutated. Why did it mutate here in Kurdish? And the twin brother Kumu mutated at the same time. Dongwu estimated that Layla was also instigating the rebellion between Kurds and Kumu. Otherwise, how could the Kurds, who were not fully confident in their combat effectiveness, take action against Kumu? Frozen demons generally do not take risks. Marrying a Kurd, he deserves it. Layla laughed and said with great disdain. He was just a test subject that I transformed, but he didn't meet my requirements. So I created Frieza again, but he was also a waste. Of course, he can be said to be my child, but I created Janjong. As for Cooler, he has nothing to do with me. He was born before I met Kurd. I just modified it. After Layla finished speaking, all Dongwu's doubts were cleared up. It turns out that the Kurdish mutation comes from West King Kai. As Supreme Kai, who has the power of creation and millions of years of research, it is understandable that he has this ability. Frieza was also created by Layla through Kurdish blood, no wonder. Thank you for clarifying my doubts, but you are making trouble in the universe and harming the universe like this. Even if you were once a god, I will not allow it. Dongwu said and directly transformed into Super Saiyan. Now Dongwu's normal combat power of 1 billion, coupled with Super Saiyan's 50-fold increase, already has a combat power of 50 billion. Far more than the 6 billion Son Gohan had when he first transformed into Super 2. Note, the perfect cell is 5 billion, and the lightning cell is 7 billion. Since the official did not give specific figures, this is how this book is set. Lyra may be better than East King Kai, but not by much. At most twice as powerful, right? That's only about 10 billion. Therefore, Dongwu didn't even change the super mode and secret mode. Super Saiyan transformation, that's enough. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.